I wonder if some part of me knew what was waiting for me. That I would never be a gentle grower of things or someone who burned like fire, but that I would be quiet and enduring as faceted as the night. That I would have beauty for those who knew where to look, and if people didn't bother to look but to only fear it, then I didn't particularly care for them anyway. I wonder if, even in my despair and hopelessness, I was never truly alone. I wonder if I was looking for this place, looking for you all. Hi, and welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Liesl.
Hi, and welcome back to A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. Welcome back. Episode 9, Jesus Christ. We're so close to the end.
I can't believe we're already on 9.
I know. I felt like, weirdly enough, it was one of those things like, you remember like freshman, sophomore year?
Mm-hmm.
Freshman year went so slowly, and then it's like sophomore year is going like a breeze.
Yeah.
The first season felt so long. Oh my god.
And then junior year is your best year, and then senior year is weird.
Yeah, so we're so excited to be here today. This is like the whole end of this book is my favorite part, but these have some very famous moments, so.
Very, very famous.
Last time on A Court of Mist and Fury, I'm gonna make this canon, okay? I'm gonna be like the Grey's Anatomy. Last time on Grey's, we went to a lot of places. We first went to the queens, the human queens. Didn't really like them. That interaction did not go well. But then we had to go to the Court of Nightmares, and we had a little bit of spice in the hewn city. And then we went to Starfall. So we last ended at Starfall, which iconic scene.
It was so beautiful.
So now the romance is kind of taking a little bit of a turn, isn't it?
Or like actually kind of coming to light.
I know, this goddamn slow burn. I'm just like, okay, so
I love a good slow burn, but at the same time, like the reason I love it is because I get so frustrated at it.
But there's also like a level of, okay, so when is this gonna happen?
Yeah.
So,
when do they take their next step?
Right. So then an overview of the future. So first we'll travel to the Illyrian war camps, which we've heard all this time about, and we're not really happy about going here, but like just to see, you know what I mean?
It's like we've heard how bad our boys have been treated.
Right. So now we get to finally see it.
Yeah.
And then we go to we have a little bit of a forest adventure with Rhys and Feyre going into the woods to train. And then unexpectedly someone appears. I'm not going to say just yet, but a little fox appears out of nowhere. And then we get the illustrious, famous inn scene. Good lord, that'll take us a minute.
Ooh, yeah, probably because we'll keep stopping.
Remember, I love how this is explicit. We are definitely going to deep dive into it. This is not a deep dive and we're just going to scratch the surface. No. And so then we travel from the inn to the very upsetting getting shot down scene. And then Feyre saving Rhysand, and then subsequently we also reunite with another fave character of specifically Liesl's, but of us. She learned some valuable information from this creature person.
Valuable.
So, and yes, it ends on a cliffhanger as always, because I just hate everybody. No, I love you so much that I do it for a reason. But anyway, so that was it. Let's just jump right into it, shall we?
Yep, sounds good.
So like I said, we start after Starfall, like traveling up to the Illyrian war camps, like Amryn said they were. So we kind of get Feyre's aftermath of Starfall, right? And everyone like danced with each other. This was the first thing I noticed. Maybe you did too. It is such a different atmosphere than Solstice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because before it was just, Feyre watching Tamlin and then vice versa, and they were just by themselves. Yeah. Versus this is a very group-centered activity, a family, instead of it just being purely romance.
Right. It isn't just two people in a relationship, like a couple hanging out. It's like, theoretically, this couple is all just like, oh, we're gonna go hang out with family. And it's like, a big group, like you said, family.
Right, because they've been doing that they've been doing that this whole time. Like, why stop? It'd be weird not to.
Yeah.
So, of course, they danced the night away. It was I would love to visually see this, by the way. Mm-hmm. Them all dancing together and Rhys dancing with her. I feel like he's a good dancer.
I feel so.
I feel like because he was a High Lord's son, he had to be taught how to dance.
Oh, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
His mom probably wouldn't let him not dance.
Yeah, of course. Though, weirdly enough, I feel like Cassie and Azriel can't dance.
Yeah.
Or at least one of them can't. I feel like one of them has to be a really bad dancer.
And then one of them has to be, like, secretly okay.
Yeah, secretly okay. Of course, after they dance the night away, of course, we have to go back home. But this is a little bit different. Well, actually, this kind of paralleled, Tamla and her in also another way as well. Because so he, like, kissed her brow, but she kept standing there, like, are we gonna do this?
It's like, is that all?
Yeah, wait, what? I mean, a kiss on the brow is very cute, don't get me wrong. The fact that she was, like, waiting for him, or she was waiting for a knock on the door, right? She was waiting for him to come over, and I was like, I don't think Reese is the kind of guy that, like, if he was gonna do it, he would have, like, been in there by now.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like this was a tenuous step. I think she wants to run before she walks, that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think so, because I think if he were gonna do that, he wouldn't have gone into his own room.
Right. He would have. They would have walked in together.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mirror that because I thought it was interesting, right?
Yeah.
So this is, and I know this gets brought up as such a theme in this, episode, so I don't want to, like, talk about it too much, but the fact that she keeps calling herself a traitor. Every time she has one inkling of romantic feelings, she, like, stomps it down a little bit and is like, no, I betrayed, traitor, whatever. I don't deserve that feeling. Which obviously, please. We have our own thoughts about that, but it starts up here, so I just wanted to bring up, I like how maybe this is more of a Sarah thing, maybe this is a writing style. I like how it's subtly brought up. It's like, okay, so I clocked it, but I didn't really, and then as I keep reading, I'm like, okay, no, this is gonna be brought up at every instant.
Yes. Up until she can finally, like, figure out how to get past that.
Right, and it's like, girl, I feel you, though. So, of course, yes, as they head out the next day, Amryn, as always, as powerful as she is, she's gonna station herself in Valaris while everyone else goes to camp.
Powerful, being able to protect an entire giant city on your own.
I know, like, well, still in her apartment, by the way, probably.
She would. I mean, even with, like, all the wards and shit, Amryn is, like, powerful.
I love how when they're making their way up there, like, she keeps bringing up, she's like, I can't look at him in the eye. I don't really know how to interact now. That is the token romantic comedy. Like, that means you're falling in love, bro.
Oh, yeah.
When it's like, okay, I don't really know
Not
how
just falling in love, but falling hard.
Yes, definitely falling hard. I have to remember my time and space, right? Because when she talks about this, it's like, it's technically been 2 months. 2 months she's left spring.
I always keep forgetting that.
It's a shorter time than the other previous time jump, right?
Yeah.
Because technically she was in, let's lay this out again. So after the events of ACOTAR, it was 3 months, prior. And then she went to the night court 2 times. So that meant, like, that was like 2 months that she was at spring. And then another 2 months to get to so it's been quicker. I get her trepidation with that. Somebody would hear, because again, Tamlin and her, it wasn't like it was some summer fling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that 2 months would seem like a very small turnaround for them to just fall for
especially in
else.
the lives of the mortals.
Right. So maybe we can give her human nature a pass on this one because, like, to us, 2 months actually is fine.
Yeah.
I would say. I digress. I just wanted to say that because when she reiterated it, I went, oh, fuck, yeah, it has been so small. Oh, God. But anyway, so when she describes the camp, so testosterone is thrown.
One word. That's the only word you need.
It's like males of all ages and the sparring and shit, and it's like, this whole monologue, I totally envision everything that's going on.
I mean,
like,
same. It's very descriptive, so well done, Sarah.
Okay, I see over here, I see where they're in the ring, I see the guys just kind of flying, I see everything, and I love that. Just more winged males, I'm like, stop.
You don't want these winged males. They're not as good as Cass or Az. Or
yeah, no. Well, I think Moore speaks for everyone here because she's the first one that says something when they walk in there. She's like, I hate this place. It's like, yeah, Moore. I mean, yeah, we understand why you hate it. Also, are we assuming this is the camp where, because yes, like Reese says later that, Devlin was the one that, gave them opportunities, but so this is where she lost her virginity at, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Windhaven. Okay. That's what I'm just assuming.
Yeah, I think
so
that
yes,
makes sense.
right. Right. So we have a kind of older, I would say middle-aged man approach them. And so we quickly learn that his name is Lord Devlin. So he's a lord of the camp. I'm like, how can he get a lord title and not Cassian?
Right.
I understand it's like the bastard blood thing, but also I feel like he should just...
because the lords are kind of like born as lords versus, bastards born as bastards. And I have to keep reminding myself that as brutal as the Illyrians are, the idea that they have lords and other kinds of more intricate kind of like rankings, like I often forget that.
Yeah, because you think, it's like none of the other Fae seem to have that, but I would get that of a militaristic society.
Their society is very militaristic.
So it kind of makes sense that they have ranks.
Yeah.
Which is why I love this political dynamic. Obviously, I hate, what the Illyrians are promoting.
Yeah.
But I love this political turmoil. Maybe it's like my politics, or maybe it's just because I love the intricacy. Because again, we're in a fantasy, right? We're in a romance fantasy. But I'm also allured by the hardships that come with this sort of society within Night Court. I love this. I love this. So Cassian goes up. So it seems like Cassian and him have a rapport. Cassian is the leader of them. He is technically. He's the superior.
Yeah, because don't forget, he's a general.
Yeah, he is the general. And so, again, I love how she brings up, they all have one puny siphon. And she even says that they're smaller than Cian and Azrael's. Damn, not only do they not have as many, they're smaller too.
Which I think is such a cool comparison, because we already knew that they had way more than everyone else, way more than even possible, but just the size comparison, that's so funny to me, because it's probably about something else too.
Yeah, it's I love the double entendre, Sarah. But the first thing that he says is, well, first of all, Devlin's just a total asshole, Cassian. It
still treats him like he's nothing.
It's like that. It's like in real society where even though they know somebody has authority, they're not going to stop digging at them. Right. Even though they will follow orders, it's the idea of not doing it respectfully. I feel like that's worse than not following.
Yeah.
So apparently him and Devlin have been going at it about the girls wanting to train. So Cassian is trying to get the Illyrian girls to train. Badass.
We love Cass being pro-girl.
I also see the struggle, and this is why I bring up politics. I see the struggle in it, right? Because they were told all their life that this is what you do. You do chores and childbear, and that's it. So the fact to bring them out of their cage is going to be a hard thing to do. Oh, yeah. And so, I love this. And it keeps getting brought up this whole time, and I'm so fucking happy about it. Not happy about the circumstance, but cool. I love how, Devlin starts sniffing at Feyre. Just as bro, give me fucking 5 feet.
Wow, you're definitely being very animalistic here.
It's funny. He thinks she smells like Amryn.
Right, which is interesting.
Interesting on a level because, yes, Amryn and her are both made. They're made in a different way.
Yeah.
Is it, coincidence that they smell similar? Or is it just nothing? First of all, I don't believe in coincidences. Second off, it makes some sort of sense.
It makes some sort of sense. Another thing I thought of, maybe they smell similar because they were both made, but also because they both are very powerful in ways that are not usually found. They're both very powerful in very rare ways for this world.
Yeah, so he just kind of, the scent kind of just clumps together in the way of an otherworldly power. Yeah, that makes sense. So, of course, as soon as Rhys-Anne steps up, Devlin could kind of shoot the shit at Cass, but he's at least more respectful of Rhys, but that's sort of infuriating.
He at least behaves with the High Lord.
Yes. Amryn sends her regard, and as far as this one, I try not to flinch away from meeting his stare. She's mine.
Ooh, hey, that possessive claim.
I just love some good old claiming, you know what I mean?
Especially not just oh yeah, this one, Feyre? No, it's just this one. As for this one, she's mine.
It's almost like he didn't, well again, because I think he elaborates after this, what he means by that, but I think the pure gut reaction of just we're at a place where nobody can be trusted, besides the people that we're with.
Or, well, yes, but also, they're at a place where Illyrians claim people. They're in that kind of society as well. So kind of like they had that role in the Court of Nightmares. They kind of have that role here of okay, the male is Dom, basically.
I've seen this in a lot of different, good thing you bring this up. I've seen this in a lot of different romance books where mostly vampire romances, so don't kill me. But they'll go to a party, right? But because, whatever fucked up society they live in, the guy can just claim whatever girl seemingly is interesting to them, even though there's no two-way consent. So they usually go in with somebody and then the guy makes a show of it. No, she's mine, or they bite her or something. That is what I've seen in other, not this one, but what I've seen in it just reminded me of that because it's almost like he's saying this racist also to everyone.
Yeah. Because
He's mine.
everyone's listening in, because how often does their High Lord actually go up there?
Right. He's like, fuck off, she's mine. You get anywhere near, what did he say? He's like, oh, if you lay a hand on her, you lose that hand, and then you lose your head.
And then the next part.
Yeah, so what's best about Rhysand is not only does he protect, but he also tells them that she's gonna fuck him up.
He's like, and once Feyre's done with you, then I'll have my turn.
It's like, that's like weirdly sweet.
It is, because it's like, it's boosting her up, boosting up her power, showing her, as well as everyone, that she's not just an object, and she's not to be trifled with, that she's powerful. It's like, so if you do anything against her, oh yeah, you'll deal with me, but first, you're gonna deal with her, like, because she can protect herself. And then I'll, come in and hurt even more.
Right. I just love how them being there is, there was like a subtle, I didn't bring it up, but Rhys said, kick the people that are out of that house, because apparently Devlin's best warriors were then, he's like, unoccupy it.
Yeah, also, best warriors? Seriously, the best warriors have only just returned.
It's also his mom's house. Like,
yeah.
That bitch should be, like, unoccupied all the time.
Exactly, don't defile it.
Anyway, so they're staying at his mom's house, I guess, and he tells Cassian Moore to behave himself at the camp. It's like, are we sure leaving Cassian and Moore in the camp is the best way to go about? Again, it's been 500 years, but we only know that they fucked. So to us, it's fresh. So we're just like, oh, would you though? He says that they're going up into the Illyrian steppes. So the Illyrian steppes, the Illyrian mountains, say.
Yeah.
And so they're going to go up there to train so that they don't have any potential casualties. Because Feyre's power is getting stronger, so obviously they want to go somewhere. Also, nobody wants to be around the Illyrian. I understand why Feyre is feeling this way, right? About the whole traitor thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would feel the same way, right? Because let's remind, even though we're very irritated and mad at Tamlin, we have to remember the perspective of the whole last book was her falling in love with this guy and basically giving up her life for him.
Mm-hmm.
And his world. That wasn't her world, his world.
Yep.
Trying to just not push everything like that just happened under the rug, but being like, all of that time, all of that love and effort that I spent into something didn't amount to anything.
Right.
Is hard to process.
Yeah.
And then it makes you feel, well, I don't know if I deserve to be happy though.
Yeah.
This is her thought. Don't deserve to be happy with Rhys because first of all, they're not really, Rhysand and Tamlin are definitely not friends.
Right.
It's, long story short, I see it. I understand it, but at the same time, as somebody who's had more self-reflection, you shouldn't ever get upset about your feelings. If your feelings are true and just, you should follow them. And also circumstance plays a huge factor in. So just reminding yourself that it's okay. Mm-hmm. But she's not at that point yet. She's not at that point. No. So yes, it's again, so as they go up into the Illyrian mountains, they're talking, oh, you're gonna try to get the girls to fight, learn to train and, combat and all that. And it's, I mean, it's great. That would be amazing. So he gives us a little backstory about during Amarantha's reign, or even beforehand, he banned wing clipping. That was like a little detail that we didn't really know, but that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So he banned wing clipping in all of his territory, but he said it still happens under his radar.
Yeah.
Which still sucks. And that especially during Amarantha's reign, it ramped up again.
Right.
Because, he wasn't there to patrol or anything.
And if you remember, there were some Illyrian warbands that joined Amarantha as well.
Right, and so she probably just let them have, and she didn't care at all.
No.
So I love the politics of that in terms of, they were at they had like a law in place, and now because of Amarantha that disrupted it. And now it's almost like we're back to square one, right? On one hand, the girls getting to fight is a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a great thing, and the fact that even Devlin, whether or not that whole thing with chores and shit, he's at least allowing them to do so. But on the other hand, the guys I'm going to call them boys because they're not men. The boys make it hard to live and even deem them unmarriageable if they train.
That's so stupid. Well, maybe they don't want to be married.
And then in their society, being unmarried, that's the worst. It's almost like high society, Bridgerton type historical dramas, right?
Yeah.
Being a spinster was worse than death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, taking a look, the spinster life doesn't seem that bad. But that's the interesting thing, right? It's a social construct, right? It's not like a law that Rhys can stop.
Right.
The societal, unmarriageable perception is something he can't control. I love that struggle.
Yeah.
And I love that it's being brought up because that's also, honestly, that's hella realistic.
Yeah, and it shows that Rhys, can't do everything as much as he may want to.
Or that, perceptions like that, especially with how long they live are not going to change overnight and that easily.
No.
So that also brings up a good point, though, that she, you know, and when it goes into the conversation, Feyre says, well, why do you wear their tattoos? Why do you honor it? You know, if you hate their people. So, and it's like, they don't like the traditions of their people, but they honor, and especially with Rhys, he honors his mother by wearing the tattoos.
Yeah, which is so sweet, so sweet.
And especially, I love this part. I mean, obviously the mother thing is like, oh, any guy that loves his mother unconditionally is a green flag, just saying. He also said that it was to honor the brothers who fought so hard to get them. And it's like, you can still hate some of the people and, you know, the rhetoric and traditions they spit, but also honoring, like, how much they have all worked to get there.
Yeah.
So I love this. I love this.
So sweet.
So funny enough, Devlin apparently is the best of the Camp Lords, which is...
It's like, wow, okay.
If he's the best, the other ones must be horrific.
Yeah.
Because I guess Devlin was kind of tame in the fact, but, like, he also was just an asshole. But so we learn a little bit of a new interesting tradition. So apparently Devlin was their lord, you know, ever, because he seems like he's like way older than them.
Yeah.
So he gave the Bat Boys a shot at what they call the Blood Rite. And the Blood Rite is the annual tradition of, they basically go up into the mountains, no magic, no siphons, they're unarmed, and their wings are bound.
Which is, I think, even greater weakness than anything else is having their wings bound.
Well, you know, especially with their objective, getting to the mountain is the objective, right? It would be so easy to fly.
Yeah, at the same time, like, even further than that, I mean, maybe, and this is just me deep diving into it too much, I'm imagining, you know, they use their wings a lot for balance as well, or, like, even when they're fighting, they can, like, use their wings to knock someone off balance, or they can, like, you know, use their wings to, like, jump up and away from an attack or something. So for them to be completely grounded as they're in these Illyrian forests, that is already a death sentence.
I understand what you mean. I didn't really think about the mechanic, but yeah, it definitely would have fucked their balance of some sort. That's it, right?
I'm thinking like Cassian here.
Yeah, you are. So obviously it's their, you know, as Liesl said, it's very much an exercise. Weirdly enough, it's an exercise, but it's also,
if you fail, then you're dead.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. So it's moving from novice to true warrior. It, like, when I was rereading it again, it reminds me of like a voluntary Hunger Games.
It does, yeah.
Because they don't get thrown into it. It's not like, you know, they pick just a random novices and throw them in. Like, they sign up.
Yeah.
So it's like and a lot of it, you know, if anybody remembers the Hunger Games, if knows these references, you should if you haven't. Like, the District 1 and District 2 tributes will go in and they'll just want to kill each other. Like, the whole objective, right, is to get up to the mountain and survive, or not even if they don't get up to the mountain, it's to survive the week. It's just to survive. Use your survival instincts and use your training, right?
And the further you get in, that's like how it changes the rank. What you were going to say about the Hunger Games Districts 1 and 2. Districts 1 and 2 go in there, they volunteer themselves, similar to this, and they go in there just for the bloodshed, which it seems like that's also a common thing here.
Yeah, because Rhys said that, you know, some, you know, rivalries between people will get solved whilst this is, you know, they know they're both going in the blood right. They're gonna, you know, eye hawk the other person and, you know.
They won't care about reaching the mountain. They're just gonna be like, no, we're gonna hunt down this specific person and quote unquote, solve the issue.
Which honestly is such this is such a very testosterone driven ideology instead of, well, and also as we, you know, further learn from these chapters, there's some shit up in the Illyrian mountains. Like, it isn't just the people that you would have to worry about, it's the creatures as well. So it's an interesting idea, and so the Bat Boys got thrown into there, and so it's very bare bones, but like he says that they were separated, so they weren't put in the same like cluster. Apparently they were like scattered across the land, but they eventually found, you know, their way to each other, and they killed some fools.
That's one way to put it.
Because they were the target. They were like the people that they were looking at, and they wanted to kill and prove themselves because they saw them as a threat, and obviously that didn't work out in their favor.
Right.
So it's just interesting. I love these lore, dude. Lore.
Always. There's always lore.
Again, maybe this is just me, but I think what makes my romance better is when I'm getting to know more about the world and or the man's world, you know, each other. They're getting to know more about their cultures. And I really like that because they're getting to know each other. And then it's like, oh, you could get through that, you know. Oh, that's kind of hot. Anyway.
That's kind of hot.
Right, so again, we have to, so Reese is in his fighting leathers and his wings are out because, like Amryn said, and that they found out and we talked about this in the last episode, is that someone is tracking them. Reese is getting tracked somehow by his use of his magic, so he's not using it to keep Feyre safe.
Right, he just put his wings out and that's it. He's back to his basics without magic, pretty much.
Right, which he can do because he's badass both ways. So it's very cute, this little, like, she's asking him a lot of questions. This is the first time she's really asking him a lot, right?
Yeah, and that he's actually, like, giving her answers.
Yeah, but this time she has proof, so she has to give him a piece of magic before he answers. So it's like a show of power for a question answered. I love that. So yeah, she shows him the water butterfly, which is great because now, remember, she can do it without being so near Tarquin.
Just think, like, her first water butterflies was when she was just sitting in a bathtub in the summer court.
Now she's making them throughout. So here is the, okay, just I want to say this before we get into this. This whole thing is what turned me against Tamlin forever. Forever is a long tape, but this changed my perspective on him the whole way. Like, I obviously had sympathy for him up to this point, but this threw it for me.
You can only have sympathy for someone for so long. You have to draw the line eventually, and this was that moment, I think. Well, for you, and then I think also for me. Like, I was already feeling hesitant, like, with the whole moment of her being locked in the house. That, of course, resonated with me, but I definitely agree. This moment was where I'm like, what the fuck? Why shorthand this?
Because this was even before when he, so again, sorry, we're gonna get into it. Let me not get ahead of ourselves. So Feyre asked Reese how they met. How did Reese and Tamlin meet? And so we're finally fucking getting some answers. It's like, Tamlin gave us the bare, let's remember what Tamlin said to us, right? Tamlin said what happened was that they knew each other, they went to some functions, and the high enemy of, so he didn't even say specifically Reese. It was very bare bones general. He said an enemy court killed his entire, that's it. That is literally it.
So, like, yeah, in one night, the enemy of another court, like you said, he said that it happened in one night, that his family was wiped out in one night.
For no reason. Subsequently, no reason.
Like, oh yeah, they just came in here because they could. Like, it was totally unprompted.
Okay, well, let's get the whole, so Reese starts out, right, when Tamlin and him were younger, Tamlin is younger than Reese, but they would go to a lot of court functions together, and, you know, as Reese, who is, from what we have learned, is also, you know, an outcast himself. He's a bastard. He's a half-breed. Nobody takes him seriously. But they know he's powerful, so there's a lot of pressure, but also like hate on him for that. So Tamlin kind of had a similar fate, remember? Because Tamlin was way stronger than his brothers, but you know, they were so terrible and his father was so terrible, that kind of overshadowed. So Reese saw a kindred spirit in Tamlin. Like, compared to everybody else, seemed better than the fucking Autumn people, so no shit. Because again, Tarquin's like 90, so he probably wasn't even alive during this time. No. And so, you know, we don't really know much about the other High Lord, but the fact that him and Tamlin were closer in age made more sense.
They were like, what, 15-ish, 15, 20 years apart, right? No,
yes.
Well, yeah.
Something like, or like even 50 years maybe? About 50 or 30 years. Because Reese is about 535, and then Tamlin's like 5.
Right, so, yeah, so for them to be, sorry, we can continue. I'm gonna learn the math, though.
So, but, you know, because Autumn had so many kids, obviously, they were probably, when they went to court functions, they probably also were the same age. Blue's brothers, seemingly.
Right.
And so, yes, actually, and this is something we didn't get from Tamlin, Reese befriended him.
We didn't hear about at all.
He gave him Illyrian weapons, he taught him Illyrian techniques, he, you know, probably taught him other things. Like, they were fully friends.
If we remember, didn't Reese talk about how when back in the first book, when he interrupted the lunch, he was like, yeah, I taught your dear Tamlin all about ladies.
See, yeah, no, I was literally gonna bring that same thing up. Yeah, so that was supposed to be just like a dig, right? He probably did. Probably did teach him, because, I mean, as we well know, Tamlin has no game. So Reese probably was trying to help him with ladies. And that makes that scene so much more interesting, right? Especially even after this whole story, the whole first interaction changes everything.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, though, that it says the inner circle didn't really approve of his his friendship with him.
Yeah.
Like, more Cassie and Azrael didn't think it was a good idea. And so subsequently we found that Tamlin's father was threatened both by Tamlin and Rhysand and their friendship. Because could you imagine if they were friends, power that they would wield?
First of all, your son is already like scaring you because he's becoming powerful and probably will be the next High Lord. And then the son of another High Lord, who is also even way more powerful than anyone has ever seen before, is now hanging out, and now they're friends, and then they're gonna become friends as they grow up. So of course that's gonna fucking scare you.
Sometimes I forget that Rhys is the most powerful High Lord in history.
He doesn't act like it.
No, but I have to remember that because they definitely could feel that shit.
Yeah.
This is what did it. So one day, whether or not it was at a court function or something, Rhys was up in the Illyrian steppes and he was supposed to meet his mom and sister at this camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was heading up to meet them, but he got postponed. Something happened and he couldn't make it. Apparently he told Tamlin where he would be meeting his mother and sister, just, casually talking about it. Like, oh, it's like in our terms of say, like, oh, I'm gonna tell Liesl I'm gonna go to my aunt's house this week,
Mm-hmm.
Very casually saying it. Tamlin's father and brothers went to, because they were going to kill Rhys, because Tamlin said he was gonna be there. They went to the night court, Tamlin included, and killed his mom and sister.
It's like, you should have, if Rhys wasn't there, just move on. Why kill innocents? Oh, because of course that will like injure our enemy court and it will be great. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe that will start like a war.
First of all, it being women, right? Because I'm just saying, in this society, there is more of a respect. Well, I mean, obviously, those guys don't respect women anyway. There is a general consensus: women and children aren't to be messed with.
Right.
If it was a couple of Illyrian guys, of course they would slaughter them.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
I bet you money. This is my own thought. They definitely put up a fight.
Oh yeah, 100%. They're Illyrians.
I hope that motherfucker. I hope. This isn't canon, but I hope. I mean, Tamlin's dad died pretty much after this, but I really want to know if she scarred him somehow.
Oh yeah.
Like one, final blow or something from, Rhys's mom.
Yeah.
Just scar the shit out of him. Let's not even, that doesn't stop there, right? Meanwhile, like Feyre, this whole time that he's talking, Feyre's blood is like goddamn boiling and her butterflies are turning into ice and shit. Like she's upset. Like we are. Not only did they kill them, they beheaded them and de-winged them. They cut their wings off.
God, okay, so that's a double fucking blow, of course. Because you know how, well, even like we know from that summer fairy how precious the wings are. We know from the Illyrians now, also, another reason of like how precious wings are. And like just stealing that flight kind of thing. So that's already bad. And then they were, starting off, they were beheaded, but the heads were sent down the river. Just so it's like, instead of like just leave their bodies there just fine, it's like, no, let's just send them down the river, that'll be fine, and let's just keep the wings as trophies.
Mutilated them and sent them as a message. To whom?
Rhys?
Yeah, but that
they got the message, all right, and it came back to haunt them.
And from, remember, we've been in this study, remember?
Mm-hmm.
We never saw Feyre describe wings. I mean, it could have been that they aren't there, and or maybe she didn't notice them, but I feel like would have noticed.
Yeah.
So, holy shit. So, remember back when it was, I think it was no, it was back a while ago, actually, when she said it should have been me about the people that she killed. He said the exact same thing. It should have been me.
Which I think is why, well, this is going backwards a little bit, but at the time when she was saying that while fighting Cassian, I think that's another reason that Rhys stepped in.
100%. He understands. Very understand.
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't have happened. I mean, again, we're not blaming him at all. Poor Rhysand, Jesus Christ, but like, yes, because he was supposed to be there, they got attacked. That is 100% what it was.
I would have loved to meet both of them, and also like the whole idea of Rhys having a younger sister.
Maybe that's why, maybe this is just me projecting and me psychoanalyzing, but maybe that's why he made, not only are Amyrlin more good people and good, soldiers, maybe that's why he made them, his second and third.
Because he lost two powerful women in his life.
Yeah, or something like that, to where it's, he understands the power of women and what they can do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not canon. I'm just saying. That's why I think he respects them more. Because also, remember, his dad wasn't really around. Like, so So he was grown up around women.
Yeah.
So, of course, because remember, technically, okay, I'm not saying that Reese's, parents had a great, mating or relationship, but that's his mate that they just killed and his daughter.
Yeah.
He is fully okay to go on killing Rice.
Exactly. And on top of that, the reason that they were there was originally to kill his son and heir as well.
I do not blame him except for one thing at all.
Yeah.
So they immediately, I think it's either like day or the day other, some very close after this.
Yeah.
Reese's father and Reese go to kill them all at the spring court. Reese kills Tamlin's brothers. So he's very adamant. And honestly, the fact that he's even owning up to it, right? Oh yeah, no, I killed his 100%. When he went upstairs to go see what his father was doing, his father killed Tamlin's father, but he also killed his mother.
It's like, literally you were fighting against the cruelty done to your mate.
Well, because it's like, so Reese, obviously being upset about this, he was told by his father that they weren't the type of males to do that, to kill an innocent woman.
I guess the rage got the better of him.
It's like, I get it, but also, like, he wasn't ever a great guy either.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised if he just lied and said that he wasn't going to kill the mom, knowing full well that he was going to anyway.
Yeah.
Or you could give him the benefit of the doubt and say it was just a rage. So his father is about to go kill Tamlin too. He's about to kill the whole entire spring court. It would have been interesting to see how that would have played out. So, but Reese stops him. And so he saved Tamlin.
Yeah.
Whether or not Tamlin knows that, I don't know. But, because, yeah, Reese was done with all the death that just happened. We did what we came here to do. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, obviously, Tamlin comes out of his room and yes, I have sympathy for the fact that his whole entire family died, but also, you can't do what you did and then not expect something in return.
And it's no surprise, though, Tamlin has rage issues.
Yeah, but the fact that even though that Tamlin and him were so young, Tamlin killed Reese's father, without a second glance.
He just blew up.
It's crazy, right?
He was at that young age, and he did that to a high lord.
A weathered one, too. One old.
And he's had those kind of blow-ups around Feyre.
I didn't even doubt that. Oof. If she didn't have her shield, that would have been sucked.
Good thing she had that fucking shield.
So, I kind of like this idea, though, of the torches passing to both of them in the same night.
And they can see it as it happens.
I love that visual. Them being crowned High Lords in the night. Yeah, this is... The fact that Tamlin gave her the goddamn Cliff Note versions of what happened is the worst fucking move I've ever seen.
He didn't want to admit that he was the one who started that shit.
And he did, because he told... I can also understand as a young person, understanding, getting pressured by your parents, but also, he should have tried to stop them when they were there. Again, granted, we don't know what happened, because Reese wasn't there. We don't know what happened. Maybe Tamlin tried to stand up for them, but, obviously, he's not gonna overpower two seasoned warriors and his father. I'm not trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying, don't really know what happened. It's suspicious that he doesn't own up to it because he's probably guilty about it, so that's why he didn't say the truth about it.
Yep.
Unlike Reese, who wasn't guilty about it at all, and was more like, here's the whole truth, here's what happened. Because again, if you didn't have shame about it, why would you hide it?
Exactly.
Girl. Oh, hell. So of course, subsequently, now understanding, Feyre explodes in flame.
No question about it. She just explodes. Maybe she got those anger issues from Tamlin. But these ones are actually valid.
I can just understand Reese just standing there going
Oh, the forest is on fire. Nice.
I don't think he expected her to be as affected.
No.
But I think she had the same mentality as us, all the repercussions of the lying.
Mm-hmm.
Now we understand why Reese taunted Tamlin that whole first book.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, okay, this may be diving a bit too deep again, but Feyre is obviously mad at Tamlin, and she's mad at the situation, but I think there's a level that she's mad at herself for not asking more about Tamlin's death, or about being so harsh against Reese when she clearly didn't understand him. Yeah. I mean, and how could she? But she's still beating herself up for that. And so she's feeling this anger at all of these different things, and she's feeling this anger at how Reese was treated, and how Reese is, he sacrifices so much of himself and has lost so much and still keeps going. So she's just mad at herself in this situation.
Interesting going off of that, because remember, she questioned so much with Tamlin, right? But to a certain extent, she kind of just went with it, versus at every turn, she questioned Reese.
Yeah.
There was no trust.
Right.
The fact that she trusted Tamlin off the bat, without really knowing anything about either one.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Totally makes her feel stupid.
And here Reese is giving her all of the answers that for any question that she has.
Because he knows she might not like the answer, but it's an answer.
Yeah, it's better than keeping her in the dark.
I think maybe this is, my idea of romance, but I feel like this was kind of the nail in the coffin for her to actually just move on from him.
Yeah.
I don't think I should feel guilt about, because he definitely didn't tell me things, I didn't tell him things. So I shouldn't feel as bad. So I love it, at the end of this, right, as the fire is crackling around her, right? Power didn't belong to the High Lords, not any longer. It had belonged to me as I belonged only to myself, as my future was mine to decide and to board.
I love that.
I think not only with learning about things, it's the tandem of learning about it and accepting what's going on, but also at the same time accepting herself and accepting the difference in words here, right? I've been perpetuating this whole season. I love this change in dynamic of words for herself, she's saying. At first she was saying, oh, there's no magic at all. Now there's a magic, but oh, it's just the High Lord magic. And then it's oh, Tarquin's magic, Rhysand's, and then no, bitch, it's mine.
And I think that's another level of control as well, because, yeah, like you said, she didn't really accept the magic, she didn't think it was hers, and that kind of mirrored how she felt so out of control of everything around her, that she didn't have control of herself, and specifically that other people were controlling her. However, now in this moment when she's no, it's my power, it's no longer anyone else's, that is, again, her saying, no, it's me, I'm not under anyone else's control, I have control of myself.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
I'm surprised I said it so fluidly in the first try.
No, it was good. But of course, we had a moment, but also it's Rhys and Feyre, so she's I could just imagine her panting and just being I want to paint you.
Out of nowhere. She's but at the same time, he has earned her respect enough for her to want to paint.
This is the first time she's saying it out loud.
Yes, yeah.
Before she's oh, I'm thinking about painting. She's no, I want to paint you.
Specifically, I want to paint you. I want to paint, and I want to paint you.
And then, of course, he swoops her up in his arms, and then he says in her ear, he's nude would be best. Get the fuck out of here.
Damn, he also uses flirtiness to move past his emotions, though.
But also, that was a good one. That was... I imagine if I had some hot guy being I want to paint you, I'd be yeah, nude would be best. I'm gonna use that line if that ever happens to me in real life.
I mean, to be fair, though, Feyre was already thinking it first, so it's Rhys was a little late to the party.
Oh, yeah. I was get the fuck out of here, but also, please stay. Please stay, please. Don't go anywhere. So yeah, obviously we had that moment. Of course, we flash back to the Illyrian camp. They're all sitting around, more Cassian, Rhys, and her sitting at the camp, and it's cold as shit up in these mountains, as the resident mountain person would know.
Yeah, it gets freezing up there.
And especially, them not having as much as clothes are concerned. It's not buckle up in 3 layers, you know what I mean? It's the idea that Cassian perpetuate, the strongest only can survive here. And
yeah.
So, as they're talking, it's kind of interesting that when she describes the house, when she describes Rhys's mom's house, it kind of reminds me of how she described the hovel. Not in a, oh my god, this is the Illyrian equivalent of kind of a 1-floor house that doesn't, sorry. This one technically has 2 floors, but
because it's special.
The idea that it's all just an open layout.
Yeah.
There's no furniture. It's not a house, like the townhouse.
Right.
I think it was on this reread that I was kind of sounds how she described the hovel a little bit.
Yep.
But a little bit more homey because they're there, right? It's so cute that Cassian cooked for them.
Cassian as a chef. Cassian in the kitchen.
Fuck, I hate you.
I hate you so wearing an apron.
Not only does a hot dude get me with wings, but also the fact that he can cook a fucking meal. Stop. That bitch was ramen. I'm eating it.
You've never had ramen.
I know, that would be my first time trying.
You would try it for him.
Oh, 100%. So it's very interesting as Feyre and Rhys go up to clean their dishes, which I think is a small thing, right? Because they're doing, it's friends up at the cabin. You know when you guys go up to, it's when people decide, oh, we're gonna go to a cabin on spring break or something, and we all have to, it's friends going up to a cabin together, right? And they have to make stuff for each other. Oh, somebody's making it this night, and then da-da-da. This is what it reminds me of in a fun way. Because then they split off. Cassian and Mor are left to talk to each other, and they're having a moment. I really wonder what they're talking about, but I'm kind of curious. I don't know. I just wonder what they're talking about. Obviously we don't know, but hopefully that gets brought up later, maybe. So they head up to bed. It's one of those things where there's 2 bedrooms, and so I was thinking that Cass and Mor were gonna be in one and they'd be in the other one, but I was wait, no. And then he's oh wait, no, Mor and me are staying together, right? It's kind of a letdown. Not that score isn't great, don't get me wrong, but it's like, oh, I thought we were
Right.
She's walking up there, she like turns around and she just looks at him from across, and she's just staring at him, which is a total me move.
It is.
Not being able to talk and just staring and being like, I want to move and I want to do something epic and go across the hall, but also I'm like stuck. Interesting detail. She says the scent of him beckoned to her.
Again, the scent thing.
Some hella foreshadowing. Since we get this at the end, it makes so much sense. So yeah, Moore and Sarah sharing a room. Okay, let me go back to her staring, right? She wants to jump him hard. She's just like, yeah, okay. I don't just what was that, too much? She said she wanted to run her hands over his chest and like...
That's not really jumping him, though.
Jumping him in the sense of like touching him.
Do you want to jump him?
Shut up.
Fair. I'm not judging if you do, but I'm just sensing a little projection here.
Yeah, I know. But again, she's going back to like, again, every time, this is like what we said, the theme throughout this is like, I didn't know what it meant, what I was doing, what this was, whatever it was between us. Because things haven't been normal since the first moment we met on Cal and Mai.
True.
Traitor, traitor, traitor. I love how he opens his mouth as to say something, and then she's just like, yeet, out of there. Nope. Never mind.
She's feeling like a traitor right now. She can't do that to him.
I wonder what he was going to say. I feel like he was going to say, do you want to come in? And then she's like, no. I was just thinking about it. Not that I'd actually do it, but...
I felt like he was going to say something about her blow up in the woods after his story.
Or like ask her if she's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I'd be mine. I see your. So of course we flash to the next day. Reese and Feyre are back in the woods training again. Kind of love this idea.
Slightly further away so that they're not catching on fire.
So the three things that I want to mention in this opening monologue that she says, three important things to note. One, she's wearing Illyrian fighting leathers because I don't think she was wearing them yesterday.
No.
Second, Reese is like behind her and carrying both their packs, and I'm just like...
And keeping a distance, too. He's like a couple feet behind her, just like giving her space and carrying both of their bags.
It's like, oh, guy who carries the bags, yay. Number 3, and the most important one, apparently they're so far out that they have to spend the night out here. Which, as soon as I heard that, dude, warning bells went off. I was like, wait, are we gonna get like a sexy campfire scene? Or are we gonna... And then they mentioned like the inn, and I was like, oh, okay, so they're gonna...
So a sexy inn scene instead.
That's what I'm expecting, because this is the first time that they're really truly alone.
Yeah.
Because like, even if you think about in the townhouse, dude, those townhouses are so close together.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be better, but anyway, regardless.
At least it wouldn't be people they knew.
Right. Yeah, like, let's do it in some place where we don't know.
So that we can't be teased about.
Right. So I went, yeah, that's gonna go well. You know, something she brings up as, you know, she's talking about is that Cassian apparently woke up in a foul mood. He was pissy and on edge. So it's like these subtle moments of the change in emotion. Like, I love how she's noticing it. Like, why do you guys write in the comments, what do you think he was mad about? Because I'm really wondering. Again, I know it's not important, but I look at everything. I try to look at everything, so.
Yeah, and with Sarah's writing, there's gonna be something.
It means something, I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But another thing to remember is her and Reese haven't talked about shit since Starfall. They never talked about it. They never talked about their moment. They never... Death of any relationship is miscommunication.
Yep.
Bro, imagine. I could not have that moment and then not text the guy probably that same night or the next morning and be like, so, what happened? What was that about? They haven't talked about it. It's like, so when she was in bed last night, she made the great miraculous decision, not really, is that she's going to play her emotions off as fun and distract, keeping it casual.
Reese don't do that.
Yeah, Reese doesn't do sexual. I don't really know much about like his sexual life, but okay, let's remember, every time they went out, he never picked it and he never brought anybody home. Whether or not he thought that would be weird if it was just him and Feyre and then some other random chick in the house, I don't think so. If he really wanted to, he would have. I feel like Cassian and Azriel seem like those type of guys to do like a casual fling. Reese never seemed like that guy to me.
Reese is a romantic guy. He is, well, not saying that people who do flings aren't loyal, but like he is definitely looking for the one.
And this is like something I brought up in the first season, maybe, or was it? Okay, this was like very early on, so it's been a minute. I feel like he maybe because of the shit he went through with Amarantha, and like that triggered him to not want to do casual ever again.
Yeah, like maybe he was into like casual before Amarantha, but maybe definitely the whole forced to serve in her bedroom thing, that will traumatize someone and be like, no, I don't want that again. I want to be able to choose who I'm with.
He wants to choose who he's with, but he also wants them to be there because he also knows what it's like to not want. Not that he would ever force somebody, but I'm not going to take you to bed if like this is just going to be a one thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to take you to bed if I'm the only one enjoying it.
Yeah, and yeah, so I feel like he was casual before this, but even then, I don't think so. I don't think he ever was. I mean, maybe like in his youth, maybe, but Cassian seems more like casual guy, which again, we're not knocking casual hookups, you know, do what you want, but also I'm not that kind of person. So I understand Reese here. I couldn't imagine my crush coming up to me and being just like, yeah, I want a casual, fun distraction. It's like, okay, well.
Ouch, my heart.
Yeah, that's not a compliment. But anyway, so Reese is like staying behind her, right, as they're walking through the woods, and so he feels his devouring stare.
Yeah, if she's walking in front of him, he's probably looking at something.
Yeah, ass.
In tight like leathers, Illyrian leathers.
Right, remember the reason that's why I brought it up. And so she also feels him down the magical bond, right? Like all these emotions, a stroking amusement. Apparently, she even says that like she felt like a lick down her spine. Like, holy shit, what?
Why is he doing this? Why, Reese?
Also, how? I just want to know the mechanic. Is he like thinking about licking her back, or is
Honestly,
it like?
Probably, and it's probably like getting in the way of like maybe since he's not using magic, his thoughts are just going down the bond.
Okay, this is gonna sound stupid, but do you think he's hard right now? I think so. I think so. It's a random thing, but I can just. Anyway.
Especially if he's watching her ass.
I mean, yeah, Reese is both. I feel like he's an ass and tits guy. He's both.
Yeah, he's an all-body kind of guy.
All-encompassing. Mind, body, soul. Hell yeah, baby. But anyway, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole with him. Anyway.
And we're not even to the best part yet.
I know. So, as she's walking, like, she gets near this river. I knew as soon as, you know, it talked about the scent going downwind, I was like, oh, Reese can't smell her. Because she was, like, talking about hunting-wise. And we hear a voice, Feyre. And guess who the fuck it is?
Lucian!
And not only Lucian, but like 4 Spring Court Sentinels. And I'm not really happy to see them, real honestly.
She's not either. Both passionate about this scene. I really love this scene. Just the fact that she immediately, before she even recognizes the voice, she already has an arrow out. And once she recognizes the voice, she keeps the arrow out.
Well, it's also, I think the initial, right, is because they know that they're being followed somehow.
Yeah.
So, of course, she's on edge. But then, yes, you're correct. And keeping the bow up. It's not that I'm glad it was Lucian and not Tamlin in a weird way. I was not expecting this. When I read this the first time, I went, whoa.
Yeah, because if we think about it, at the beginning of the book, they were so scared about, like, the Night Court, they knew nothing about it, and yet somehow, Lucian and 4 Sentinels are here?
How did they know?
In the middle of the Illyrian woods?
How did they know?
And of course, if we think about it, like, Reese isn't there. Well, he's there, but, like, over, like, the bank side. He's not in the area. Lucian doesn't know he's there.
And, like, the wind was downwind, so he couldn't have smelled them probably right away.
I mean, he probably felt them in the bond, but, like, that's how he would know.
I wonder, okay, this is so odd, because you bring up such a good point, right? They don't have anything the only thing they have of the Night Court is, like, some of those, like, you know, like, Césaire. It was, like, some of those temples, right? They didn't know anything about the mountains. They didn't know, how the fuck are they here right now? I really don't know. That is sus.
Yeah.
I think it was the fact that they surrounded her on all 4 sides. Like, first of all, think about this. Surrounding her, if, like, as they're thinking, right? They're thinking they are saving her from a fate. Why are they surrounding her if that's the case? Like, if she was gonna get saved, quote unquote, wouldn't she be running to them and be like, oh my god, my savior?
I think they definitely are under the impression, though, that they think they know Reese and that he probably did something to her mind, which is why she didn't come back. They probably think her letter was Reese making her write, or Reese writing it for her, or whatever. So it's like they probably are thinking, oh, she seems to be under this, like, mental thing. And so therefore we must capture her like a prey and figure out how to break her out of this spell.
Which is funny because remember, Reese did write the letter. Because remember back in that episode, I thought that was the dumbest idea. Because how was he going to believe that's her?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, I digress. So immediately immediately, she's getting back towards the river and getting caught between a rock and a hard, and she's like thinking of escape routes. Do I jump in there? Do I try to fight my way out of here? Like, she's not happy to see them at all, and especially Lucian. I feel bad for him, but at the same time, I don't. I don't think when I read this the first time I had any sympathy for him.
I was shocked, honestly, because it's like, Lucian, how do you not see what's happening? Like, I feel like you were smarter than this. Like, your character has dumbed down a lot.
And it's like, I know Under the Mountain did a lot to all of us, but how has Tamlin earned this blind loyalty? And again, comparing them to the Inner Circle where, even if, and she says this later, I'm just going to bring this up because, she brings up how if Cassian or Azrael or Mor or even Amaranth saw what was happening to Feyre, and if Rhys was doing that to her, which he never would, they would have taken her. They would have done whatever in their power to get her away.
Yeah.
Which is the difference between blind loyalty and loyalty to what is right.
Right. Like, yeah, they have a loyalty to Rhys, but they also understand how people should be treated. And, like, they'd probably, like, try and... I mean, also, they have that level of, like, friendship as well. Like, not just friendship, but family. Whereas Lucian was kind of a friend and is now a subordinate. But, like, so, like, the Inner Circle would have, like, taken Feyre away somewhere safe and then totally just been like, what the fuck, Rhys? But yeah, like, honestly, the Lucian before Under the Mountain, that's the Lucian that I wanted to see. That's the Lucian I wanted to be here. And he's gone. It feels like.
It didn't cut it.
No.
He says they've been hunting for her for 2 months.
Hunting? No.
That's not a good image on them, especially considering the story she just heard. Spring Court is kind of getting a bad rap right now.
It's like, okay, you could have said, we've been looking for you, or we've been searching for you. Like, are you alright? That kind of thing. But it's like, no, we're hunting to take you home.
It's like it's almost like when the villain exposits like the story without him even realizing it. Dude, you're literally saying everything I need to know with your words.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see this?
No, he doesn't.
So we get some more info. So apparently someone, quote unquote, who the fuck tipped them off that they were out here?
Right, because Rhys wasn't using magic.
Someone is a spy. There is a rat in either the Illyrian camp, I'm gonna assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because how did they find them as soon as they went up to the Illyrian camp? Someone is a rat there. I 100% guarantee it. Again, it's not canon, but yeah. Because that's how it shifted, right? They went to a different place, and now all of a sudden this has happened.
Yeah.
Because even before, when they went out into the woods... Even before, I mean, I know that was in, like, the mortal realm, but, and they were near spring, and they didn't even know they were fucking there. So, someone tipped them off.
I mean, yeah, with the spring thing, and flying to the
mortal
nightmares, like, the tracking of Rhys's magic. But yeah, now that they're not using magic, they're just literally flying. Honestly, that is a good theory. I hadn't even thought of that.
It's suspicious. Again, it's not canon, but, like, I 100% think somebody tipped him off.
I mean, honestly, though, some of those Illyrians...
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Ugh.
So, yes. So Lucian is a little bit surprised by her, because he obviously sees what she's wearing, but he also sees her body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very healthy looking.
Yep. It's like, wait, you were supposed to be, like, tortured.
Definitely not looking like it. Apparently, Lucian tells us that we didn't know. We already knew this, but Tamlin hasn't been himself. It's like, well, no shit.
It's like, oh, really? I wouldn't have guessed that.
The fact that we saw him after that first time and, like, all the shit that he disrupted the first time she was taken to the Night Court, I'm gonna assume that whole manor's just trashed. I would assume.
Yeah, they've probably rebuilt it twice already.
I love how he tells her, Feyre, let's go home. I love the recurring theme of that sentence.
Mm-hmm.
It's said like 3 times in this story already, and it's now this one makes her mad. She's like, that ain't my fucking home no more.
Yes, finally.
Obviously he's apologizing, but it's so empty.
It is.
It's like, we make mistakes.
We make mistakes that involve you getting PTSD and claustrophobia.
It's like they're doing the same shit that they did before. It's just different, right? Because it's happening now. He's sorry, we're all sorry, like, da-da-da. It's like, yeah, sorry doesn't mean shit now.
And also, Lucian, stop apologizing for him. He needs to apologize. Lucian, like, there's only so much you can do. Like, this is not your job anymore.
But you're right, Feyre does not lower her. If anything, she tightens her fucking arm. I love how when she brings up, though, that she's been training with Cassian, Lucian is a boy warrior, while, like, the Bat Wings are warrior warriors. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cassian would whoop his ass.
100%, 100%.
Any of them would. Any three of them would, honestly.
Yeah. Even more than Amryn would totally.
Oh, I think just Amryn wouldn't even have to do anything. Amryn would just look and Lucian would melt.
Yep.
Oh, but it's fucked. They start to close in on her as they're noticing that she's like wanting to run.
Don't do that. First of all, clearly they don't know how to hunt. You don't do that to a cornered animal.
But as she says, I'm not the High Lord's pet any longer. And maybe the world should learn that I indeed have fangs.
Yes.
Baby! Because she knows now that Lucian can winnow. And the thing is, if he touches her, he's gonna yeet her out of there, and then it'll be a point where Rhys can't get to her.
Mm-hmm.
This fucking predicament we're in. It's like, what the hell are you thinking? If you're thinking this is a hostage situation, this is not. Also, how are you guys thinking that, like, Rhys isn't near here?
Right. Like, why would Feyre just be out in the middle of the Illyrian woods on her own?
Also, if someone tipped you, then you know he's with her.
True. Unless it was like a double agent kind of tip of like, hey, Feyre's out there, but
Alone.
like say nothing about Rhys.
So, of course, Lucian does try to grab for her, which, fuck you.
Not just grab for her, he lunges at her. And she's like, shit, no, fuck that.
But she winnows. This is the second time she's winnowing again, because again, she's mad, but also, you know, magic comes about in the most times when you need it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you're right, Lucian, this is not the Lucian that we know. Why the hell would he take her without consent? Whether or not he thinks that she's being mind controlled. Like,
consent. Dude, consent. Of course she's gonna stay here, because she has consent and choices here.
It's because they're so disillusioned that, like, Rhysand is this bad guy, and again, who's promoting that lie? Tamlin. If they just looked for 2 seconds, like, they would see that she's all good, like, mentally, physically healthy. Anyway, so she winnows behind them, and the thing is, they turn around, and guess who's appearing right next to her? This was so visually cool, but also, I could just imagine them all going like,
Well, first of all, because they've never seen any of Feyre's powers before. Even Lucian had only slightly seen some, like, transformative powers. No, she just fucking winnowed, and that is a fairly, like, rare thing, like, from what Rhys had said before. Like, not everyone can winnow. And yet here she is winnowing. And then on top of that, Rhys just shows up for some extra effects.
So, but he also shows up, he full wardrobe shift, by the way.
So he used his magic.
Unfortunate, considering what we know, but...
He's also protecting his wings. He's hiding them.
Like always, the mask is back on.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in a suit. I love how she gets the, like, implications of the wings now.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I understand why you're doing it.
It's almost like she's as protective of his wings as he is.
Well, and also, remember, because he doesn't want, there's also the, he doesn't want perspective of them knowing he fight, like, physically fight.
Right, because that would scare them too much more.
I know, it's an underestimating tactic, and it's good. He calls him Little Lucian.
Like, oh, Little Lucian, don't you know that when a lady says no, she means no?
Oh my god. Ooh, Lucian called him a whore.
Wow. He did that too. He was the first one to call him a whore back at the lunch.
But the thing is, now because of all the implications, like, she's snarling at him.
And Lucian's like, what? You're snarling at me?
And obviously, because of that, yes, even though we've seen Lucian change as well, obviously she's not the same either. At least to them. He thinks that Rhys did something to her.
Yeah.
But again, remember, we're in Rhys's fucking territory. He has full hunting right to kill them for trespassing.
Yeah.
So, this is frustrating.
It is so bad.
I just want people in the comments, like, how do you think they got into the Illyrian steppes? Because remember, there's, like, camps spread throughout the Illyrian steppe. Any Illyrian would see these guys and probably imprison them or do something. How the hell did they get this far?
It's like, it almost feels like similar to how the queens needed exact coordinates to winnow directly into the house in the mortal realm. It almost feels like they were given coordinates to winnow to. Somehow.
And we don't know, but put down in the comments what you think. It is.
Please, like, there's actually, like, nothing that we know about this. Like, we have no idea about it.
It's more just speculation of anything.
Yeah.
This is the moment where Feyre finally steps into this, well, not just into this darkness, but into herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, though, so, because as they're talking, she's stepping up for herself. He'll never stop looking for you, never stop waiting for you to come home. I'm not a child playing games. You gave up on me. You were my friend and you picked him obeying when you saw what his orders did to me. Dude, this fight is so raw.
Yeah, just a verbal argument sometimes is what you need.
Mm-hmm. I begged you and then you shoved me in a room with Ianthe and told me to stick it out. I suppose the Night Court is so much better. Right, because we have to keep Valar protected. He can't know that there's good here. Because again, she's perspective-wise, she's been living in the Court of Nightmares this whole time.
Right, so everyone thinks that she is living in, well, specifically under a mountain, in a court that Amarantha copied her court after.
So, like Rhys, she has to play the role. So, God, so badass, bro. So badass. She transforms.
She doesn't even realize she does it, but, like, she just feels it.
No. When you spend so long trapped in darkness, Lucian, you find that the darkness begins to stare back.
So epic.
Bro. Full Illyrian. So it's not just talons this time. Full Illyrian wings, too.
Mm-hmm.
The girl.
She can feel Rhys's, like, pleasure and surprise in the bond.
Also, he's not scared. Like, I think before, when it comes to magic and stuff, like, there was a nervousness around. He's full on loving this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Bad at the girl you knew died under the mountain. Damn. Throw it in his face. It's true.
Yeah.
The girl that you guys knew and that was complacent, she is no longer. This is Feyre's death right here. The old Feyre.
Right. This is the new Feyre's birth, almost.
You can make an argument, though, that she never was really her true self beforehand.
That's true. She was always putting on some kind of act and not quite believing in her own actions. The phrase that sticks with me a lot, I mean, of course, like the darkness phrase, quote, sticks with me, but also like the whole quote of like, that stopped being my home the moment you let him lock me in that house.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, also like, Tamlin locked him, but also the fact that Lucian left her there. Well, and he's just like, I'll try and talk to him again.
Dude, weak sauce.
Weak.
Any of the Bat Boys would have Rhys and then like threw her out, took her to someplace else.
They would have tried everything to break through that. Even if like Rhys had like giant wards up or whatever, similar to how Tamlin did, they would like be attacking the wards or trying to drag her through it or trying to break it somehow. They would go pummel Rhys until wards broke.
Oh god, I hate that line though where I'll remind my old friend about what happens when Spring Court flunkies step foot in my territory. The fact that she knows what that means now.
Mm-hmm.
How much you gonna bet Lucian doesn't know about that?
I'll admit, the first time I read it, I'm like, interesting. Have people like, oh, he's apparently dealt with Spring Court flunkies before. That's cool. Second time I read it, I'm like, wait a minute. Does that mean people like actually like come into his court before? And then the third time it finally clicked of like, oh wait.
I don't think Tamlin ever told anybody. I feel like that's like one of his dirty secrets that he's never said.
Which is exactly why he didn't tell Feyre that.
I don't think Lucian knows at all.
No.
Because knowing him, he probably would have understood.
Yeah.
Rhys's perspective.
Yeah.
So obviously, Lucian is frightened enough from Feyre that they leave, but he doesn't leave without saying a dig first. He says, Rhys Sand is a dead man walking.
And he still thinks that it's Rhys playing games and that Rhys is controlling Feyre. He doesn't understand that Feyre made a choice. This is Feyre speaking. Feyre wanting to stay there. Feyre refusing him.
You're dead. You and your entire cursed court. Bro, that's a declaration of war, bro.
It is. And
emissary?
Also, literally, well, yes, it is, especially coming from an emissary. But especially the fact, I mean, of course he doesn't know, but Feyre is part of that. Feyre is part of that court, too.
They are so disillusioned or disillusioned in the thinking that Rhys Sand is mind controlling everybody. That everything's this game. When you can't physically see that she looks good, like, there would be signs. There would be blatant signs if she was actually mind controlled. You've been 500 years old. Even Feyre knows when somebody looks mind controlled.
Yeah. I mean, and even with, like, a powerful Demati, it still would be obvious.
So, of course, they all winnow away.
With their tails between their legs.
Yeah, to go tell Tamlin, I guess, the bad news. I love how, because he knows how riled up she is, he touches, like, the inside part of her wing.
He's, like, in awe. He's just like, whoa.
But he's, like, touching the sensitive part that she did, and he's like, yep, that's what it feels like.
He's like, oh, okay, that's what it feels like, okay.
Somehow being in the presence of spring people made her shape-shifting come to life again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it helped her shift.
Yeah, even if it wasn't Tamlin direct.
Yes.
And also, I feel like just, her powers come out more in terms of, like, when she feels she needs to defend either herself or others that she cares about. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as they're gone and, she feels Rhys's touch, regardless of how that touch made her feel, like, just also knowing that Rhys was there and that Lucian and the others were gone, that's when she started to relax, and that's when the wings disappeared.
He's like, I mean, you gave a pretty good performance. She's like, I gave him what he wanted to see. And then she says, my warrior. Immediately cuts her. She's like, not my anything. Oh, he's been yours since Alan, my bitch. I can just tell.
Yeah. The moment he laid eyes on you, he's been yours.
Yeah, just stop. So this is kind of the point where she stopped feeling as guilty. She's not guilty. So I think when I got to this point, I wanted to reiterate for the audience. I don't feel like she ever felt guilty for still feeling like she's not guilty because she still has this lingering feeling for Tamlin.
Yeah, no.
She's guilty because she's not feeling guilty.
Yeah.
The fact that it's so easy with Rhys and the fact she hasn't thought about Tamlin at all, romantically or otherwise.
Nope.
It's so easy with him that's why she's guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like a really roundabout way, like it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, to me it does make sense, but I can also understand where her stress is coming from.
Mm-hmm. Like, totally get it. She never questioned wanting him. Like, that was never a question.
It's like, no, she knows she wants him, but it was very much, well, it's only been 2 months. I shouldn't be moving on this quickly, right?
Right. But again, circumstances are everything. Context is everything. I think considering the context, I think you're good.
Yeah.
I don't think any sane person would be like, oh yeah, no, you're... Also, it's Rhys. How could you say no? So when he, takes her up in his body heat again, he says, you look good with wings. Of course she does. I don't think he's seen, a hot Illyrian woman for a long time, so he probably saw the wings and was like, how we feel about them?
Yeah. I bet part of me thinks that in his mind, he's like, now that's a female my mother would be proud of.
Oh, it's sweet, but also endearing. Girl, every time I read this, I don't care how many times I've read it, I think this is my 8th or some time reading it, I never forget the journey of this romantic feeling. I love this. Rhysand has been my top book boyfriend for a long time, but also because he was the first, so yeah. You never forget your first. Anyway, I digress. So again, we get to the illustrious, famous inn scene. Hell fucking yes. I'm so hyped for this.
I'm so excited.
I wrote in my note, buckle up, bitches. Roller coaster of emotion and sex. Well, sexual. Second base.
I consider it as sex.
I just want to say, when she describes this inn, it is such a letdown. It totally... Do you guys remember those, Hotel Sixes that, are rented by the hour? That's what I remember. This is what I wrote. This is what I think of when I think of the inn. Rented by the hour is very suspicious. That kind of makes me think brothel, not inn, but okay.
Yeah.
I feel like he just told her it was an inn.
Probably.
How much you gonna bet it was a brothel, though? Because, remember in those stories where, it's a very, male-centered place? Mm-hmm. They always have one brothel, up in the middle of nowhere. It was a brothel. He took her to a brothel.
Of course he did.
So, of course, there are no vacancies so they have to be in, this weird-ass attic room.
Mm-hmm. Where it's, the bed is, literally pressed up under the slanted roof, part of the roof.
So, I don't know if you guys have noticed, where I record, I have a slanted roof.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
So...
Basically, where Tabi is on her bed, that's kind of how the roof was in their room.
Yeah, it is, because I can't get off this side of the roof. So, I'm in the attic bedroom.
And now just imagine, a 6-foot guy standing in there with giant wings.
Oh, I have. Don't worry. I've already imagined it, bitch. I've already imagined it. Already there.
Been there, done that.
Yes, but thank you for reminding me once again.
Anytime.
So, again, his powers are... this is so interesting, right? Because there's a bunch of Illyrians. He looks like any normal Illyrian warrior, but obviously, he's the High Lord. He's very well known.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna just not know he's there. So he dampens his power back in, and he's in his fighting leathers, and his wings are out. She talks about how there's a public bathing chamber, and I was like,
don't go there.
I'd rather not. Just hell no.
Just nah.
So yes, like Liesl said, they walk in, slanted roof, basically no room anywhere. One bed. We love the one bed trope, but I love immediately how she whips her head, and he's like, I asked for 2.
Just tries to step back, and he's like, hey, I asked for 2. This is what they had.
And again, remember the first time we thought they were sleeping in the same bed together was a tease because they were at her sister's house.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, he can't just poof a bed. First of all, he can't use his magic. Second of all, there's not enough room for one.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not even enough room for him to sleep on the floor. So, oh no.
Oh no.
They have to sleep. I'm so glad Sarah didn't tease us with that whole, like, gonna be one bed trope. Thank God we actually get it now.
Yeah. She had to tease first. She had to foreshadow it about how Reese was such a gentleman there, even if he was teasing. But now, he was a gentleman in the sense of, like, he's like, I tried. Like, also, I'm imagining, like, this bed is small.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a twin size, but, like, short, even smaller.
It's probably, if I'm gonna say, probably how big my bed is.
Yeah, roughly.
Now she's getting anxious, stuttery. She's like, oh, well, it's cold in here and I can't start a fire because of my magic. I mean, we'll just have to use each other. I mean, like...
Body heat. She turns to him and was just like, body heat. I meant body heat.
Then she brings up, my sisters and I did it all the time. And
all right, good deflection. Good deflection.
he's like, I'll try to keep my hands to myself. I'm like, shut up.
Like, I mean, but if we think about it, I know this is, we're gonna get into it. But, like, he would have kept his hands to himself if Feyre hadn't wanted anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's that kind of perfect male.
No. He immediately says that and she's like, I'm hungry. Nice flexion.
She keeps deflecting because she wants to keep that idea of, just fun and distractions.
I love how this whole time, I mean, maybe not as much now, but, like, even before, she's like, oh, he's not into me.
Bullshit.
Dude, he says shit like this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, out to my hands to myself. No normal guy that is not into... Okay, trust me. I have experience with guys that don't like you. There's no way he would say this stuff.
No.
But he goes down and gets them food.
He's like, you can change first. I'll go get food.
Because, so they don't have to change in front of each other.
The respect.
But she also is, like, just hardcore staring at him and his, magnificence. And, like, she's thinking about painting. And he says, I love it when you look at me like that.
The fact he actually says it out loud and it's not just a thought.
And she's kind of taken aback that how? Because he says, like, my power is not something to hide from. Like, you see me. I love how, again, yes, we get it now. Because he was the most powerful High Lord, his power is so lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And because people are just so afraid of him and or want him for power.
Yeah.
I love how she's just like, no, I was, like, terrified of you at first. And he's like, no.
No, you weren't.
You were nervous, but never terrified. Never
like, just think back to Calanmai. Yeah, just think back to Calanmai. Like, he wasn't really scared. Like, she felt like she should be scared because of how everyone else reacted. But literally, he was gonna walk away and she called after him.
If I'm remembering verbatim, it said that the male was dangerous. But we've also known in our vernacular, dangerous could mean one of two things.
It can mean, it has many meanings behind it. So, specifically, this male was dangerous does not say, like, I'm scared of this male.
Yes.
Especially because he had just saved her and respected her choice to not accompany him for the rest of the night.
Yes. And of course he's like, and that's why I couldn't stay away. She's like, wait, what?
Reese is giving some confessions here.
Fucking fine. Like, somebody needs to. Like, I feel like he's been doing all the confessing.
And like, he thought he was doing it with, like, body actions and his, how he was treating her. No, now he's, like, finally actually saying them out loud, though. And she's just like, no, he doesn't like me.
Bitch. If this is how I am, I'm sorry. If this is how frustrating it is for thinking that a guy doesn't like me, I'm sorry, Liesl.
I accept your apology. Of
course, he kind of leaves with that and he just walks off, but they do that to each other so often.
They do.
It's a very subtle thing, but when she starts changing and she's changing in this room, this is so relatable. I don't know if any of you have changed in, like, a really small room before. You just hit everything.
Yeah.
And, dude, I felt that so hard.
And she doesn't even have her giant wings yet. Or, still.
Yeah. So it's like, of course, we get Feyre monologuing a little bit to herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, she's thinking about what just happened, like a normal person would. Like what Lucien was reporting Tamlin. Like you said, Tamlin's choosing to ignore her requests. Fae males were territorial, dominant, and arrogant. But it's like we brought up before, right? We brought up before, like, this in the first chapter. Something about the Spring Court guys, like she said, it's festering. Like they're a festering like festered in the training.
Mm-hmm.
Because when she talks about Cass and especially Cassian testing her, like, he always pushes her limits, but he never, pushes her boundaries.
Yeah.
They would never force a woman to do anything. None of the bad boys would.
No.
And again, we know that's not the majority of the Night Court. They're a very small fraction of that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think their leadership helps others be that way, though.
Yeah.
So I doubt it's just them, but for right now, that there's really the only ones we see. But of course, she's like, yeah, Reese would never have not known. Reese is the most observant, never misguided. Well, okay, not never, but like, he's not so misguided and arrogant.
Yeah.
So she finally, like, admits to herself, I had loved Hamlin. Or she calls him the High Lord. Doesn't even say his name. But Amarantha broke us both to where we no longer fit.
Yeah.
That's it. The whole thing.
It's legit. Like,
Finally,
you have two puzzle pieces, and then one of those nubs gets torn off. You can see that, like, the colors match, but they no longer fit together.
And, I'm not saying that, Amarantha brought all this up, but okay, let me say, sometimes circumstances show somebody's true colors.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of see Tamlin's true colors. Whether or not it's because of Amarantha or not, he seemed like this even before that. From what we've seen.
Like, before Under the Mountain, we saw little bits of it. And Under Mountain happened, and then afterwards, it was amplified. It was, like, fully, the veil was, like, pulled back.
So it's almost like it was not foreshadowed, but it was always there, and so it was never going to be. But because of also what happened to her, circumstances no longer allowed it to. So I'm just glad she's figuring it out, because we figured that out, like, at chapter 10.
Sometimes it takes a while to get out of those difficult places, and it's hard for you to see what's happening, and sometimes you need other people to point it out for you, or tell you that, like, hey, no, you're actually okay. It was them, for the most part.
So, obviously going back to it, Reese, comes back, and with food in hand.
Balancing two trays like a skilled man.
Yeah, so he's got a stew and a meat pie, which I love how he's like, well, I think it's this kind of meat. It's like, I wish I didn't.
If the chef is to believe.
It's like, okay, I didn't want to know that, but alright. It's like the mystical. So she starts eating, but then he starts changing behind her, and it takes all of her willpower not to just look.
Yeah.
She's just sitting there hearing his clothes ruffle, and she's just like...
Closes eyes and pretends that she's enjoying the meal while she wants to look at the meal behind her.
Yeah, it's like, I really could peek. I'm not going to. Because he respected me and didn't watch me change. But I love how when, he says about getting the meal, he's like, well, you were the one training all day. Getting you a hot meal is the least I do. God damn it. Why are our standards so low in society that this is so amazing? This is monumental. Maybe we just haven't met the right guys. I mean,
100%.
I guess I understand that, but also, like, God, there's so many shitty... Sorry for any of the guys out there. If you're sweet, going ho for you.
Just not the guys we've met.
No, definitely not. I love these subtle questions that we never really think about, right? She looks and, like, apparently he's got a whole new shirt on, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, how did he get that shirt on? Oh, there's buttons? Okay. Such a small detail that Sarah, because she's so detail-oriented, for the fuckers like us who love details, we're like, yay!
Even, like, tiny little details like that. And, like, if you think about it, yeah, Reese uses magic to put on his clothes usually, but think about the other Illyrians, or specifically Cass and Az. They don't have that kind of magic to help them put it on. So they have to, like, I mean, actually, they must be pretty flexible to be able to wrap those buttons around their wings.
I have those romper dresses where it has, like, button up, where I have, like, take off and unzip the whole thing. Yeah. And I like fucking T-Rex arms, so that doesn't help.
You're just like,
I just usually have somebody, but obviously it gets into the conversation, like you said, yes, Reese uses magic, but it's because he needs to. Apparently we learned there's so much magic that he has constantly flowing inside him, that he has so much of it that he needs to use his magic on other things so that it doesn't drive him insane.
Which is kind of actually.
That he's got so much power that he needs to exude it, and
that even like tiny things such as putting on clothes can help, like, relieve stress.
And magically taking off clothes.
True.
I'm just saying, if you can put on, you can take off.
Yeah, just, magically doing these little things.
I think I like side progression though. I think I like the idea of taking off. I don't like the idea of it it's kind of hot if it magically comes off, but I like the sexiness of taking off. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you're like, yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm just watching. You're like just giggling and blushing.
I know my face is fucking red. Okay, this was gonna happen, man.
We haven't even gotten into it yet.
I know, we're trying. I knew as soon as I heard that he had wine in hand, I went, they're gonna get to second base at least.
He's bringing her wine? Hell yeah.
That's a okay, we're gonna do something afterward.
Wine at such an inn as this?
So, as, they're talking, he about the magic, right? He says that Amren taught him, because, again, he said that before, but Amren taught him how to use the magic so that he doesn't go insane, which is a huge thing that she gave to him.
Kind of makes me think that maybe Amren had that same issue.
100%, I bet. I bet she probably did go crazy and then came back.
Yeah, so she's been around the block.
Not that I love this moment, but I love how nothing more than a strange hybrid, more trouble than I was worth, you're not. He read her thought. Well, she shouted it down, but but again, he knows her so well that he doesn't even need the bond to understand what her face means.
No.
That's when you know that you really know somebody.
Yeah, when you can read their expression.
Like us. I love how when, she kind of gets, as he starts eating, she asks the big question, did you think I would go with Lucian? He says the best answer. The best answer.
Tamlin should take notes.
Mm-hmm. He said that I heard every word, and yet I found myself deciding that I took his hand. I would find a way to live with it. It was your choice. And if he grabbed, then I would have torn apart the world, get you back. Aww.
But that also is, he's not just saying that. Because literally, the moment that she said no and moved away from Lucian, that's when he appeared.
Oh, yep.
He was standing back and letting her deal with it. So, like, if she wanted to go, he would have just let her go. But she said no, and that's when he appeared. And so that's, like, reaffirming his word with that. And
choice and autonomy is, like, Reese's whole thing.
Yes, and we bring that up, I think, in almost every episode.
It's so important. That's the whole fucking theme of this book.
Yeah.
Having a relationship and having this, you can be dependent in moments on each other, but being independent in your choices.
Yeah. Just
because, at this point, I think Reese is in love with her. Just because he's in love with her doesn't mean that she can't choose to one day just leave all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they haven't promised each other anything. They're not in a relationship. There's no communication about that.
And even if you are in a relationship, of course, it gets a little bit more complicated. You can always, like, end a relationship and leave.
Yes. I hate, that is, like, the number one thing. So, again, we both haven't been in, like, really big long-term relationships. My whole thing when I hear, like, other people, I hate it when they make it seem like they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And leave. Like, well, I can't leave. No, you can, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get some people are in like emotionally manipulative relationships, and there's like a whole other thing to be based on that. The empowerment, I just want everybody in the audience to know, we empower you. You can get the fuck out of you can get out of the casino, man. You do not have to stay.
Even if you don't actually say the words of like, let's break up, like if you need to get out, you get out. You can deal with it all later. Do what Feyre did. Like literally just go away and then figure it out. Maybe that will be difficult in another sense, but at least you'll be out and knowing that you can make those choices for yourself.
Because you're just hindering yourself, but also the other person. Like, let's not say it's in a manipulative scenario. Maybe it's just somebody you fell out of love with. It's like, it's not really fair to the other person to stay. You want them to...
If you did fall out of love like that, don't stay and like keep leading them on, because that's not fair to them. That's not fair to you. That's not fair to them. Just go away. Like, there's nothing wrong with staying. Don't be like, oh, but like they still love me, so I should probably stay even if I don't love them because I don't want to hurt them. No, don't do that.
Flawed logic, but we understand. We just want to empower everyone.
And we say that because we have been in those situations before.
Yes. Life lessons from Liesl.
Our next podcast idea.
Back on topic. So as he says that, right, she's like, another thought for a thought. And no in playing around this time. Just
no magic.
Yes, girl. He says, when I look at you, I feel like I'm dying. Like I can't breathe. I think I want you so badly that I can't concentrate half the time I'm around you. And this room is too small for me to properly bed you, especially with the wing. Excuse me, my man. What?
Well, that sentence is a lot to decipher, but I'll say my very first thought about that whole thing, of course I attached to the bed thing, but especially with the wings.
Oh!
Because that suggests that he wants his wings out when he has sex with her.
I didn't even notice that. That's so sweetly. Yeah, it is.
It's not even, it's just like they haven't even had sex ever before. But he's saying that he wants them out. He didn't have them out with Amarantha. He already told Favor how sensitive.
With anyone.
Exactly. He's already said like how sensitive his wings are, and he's kind of actually he also let her touch them. But anyway, yeah, so that is what my brain immediately went to.
That's gonna make me actually cry. I didn't even put that together. Even now, oh my god, yes.
So he wants his wings out the first time he has sex with her.
He's declaring it, and they haven't even done anything. Okay, you said your first thought. My first thought was obviously like whole dying thing. I loved the idea of, not being able to concentrate with her around. I think it was the shift.
Yeah.
It wasn't the fact that it was like all sweet and then all of a sudden just, yeah, I want to sex you, but not here. Whoa. You just were in your like romantic thing. Wait, what?
That's also similar to Under the Mountain when he's like, yeah, like as much as it would be like fun to have sex with you, like this wouldn't be the great place to do that.
Yeah, like casually bring it up like, wait, what? You want to have sex with me?
It doesn't matter to him whether she's human or fae.
Oh my god. Okay, this is just me, but so my second time reading it when I reread this was like, wait, maybe this is just my virginness nature. When you mean properly bed somebody, like what what does this mean? Like, is it, I thought sex was like never proper. You could just do it anywhere, right? What does proper mean? Do you need to explain this like full missionary? Like, wait, are we talking about, okay, being able to do the normal positions? Because I feel like they still could have sex in the bed. They just have to do it.
Proper, at least my understanding of it is in the way that Reese is saying it, proper as in when there's no strings attached, there's no scenario going on, when it's just them and they're allowed to take it slow and they know they won't be interrupted, that kind of thing. Like that's, I think, at least my impression of it is proper. And then to like just take it slow and actually explore and like, feel each other.
But also the space too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So in that sense, it also would probably be like some kind of bed. I mean, that's probably why he said proper bed. But so I guess it could in that sense if he had said like just properly have sex. Yeah. It's definitely about the space and the atmosphere that they're in.
Okay.
Because sex, you can have sex anywhere.
True.
But to properly bed someone, that's the kind of romantic sex that you read about in books where like they're actually, in a bedroom and taking it slow of like, oh, he slowly kissed me or something like that.
There's actually, it's not just like, okay, let's just, there's foreplay. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I just, that was hella my virginness coming out because I was just, wait, so, I mean, like, sex is never proper. Like, it's always, dirt, like, to me. So I was like, what? Okay, anyway, digression.
I hope I explained that proper. Please don't after me if I didn't.
I think you did. Favor then finally admits that she can't stop thinking about him either. Like, she doesn't, like, say love, but, I mean, she basically is saying, she admits that she's been falling in love with him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Even before Tamlin locked her away. And of course, like, she calls herself a lying piece of trash, which he says don't. Because she wanted to see Reese during those weeks. Like, she looked forward to seeing him.
Yep. Even if she still kind of hated him in a way. Like, she found that she preferred his company.
100%. I love how immediately, like, as soon as they tell each other, like, really big feelings, she's just like, let's go to bed. Okay.
The bed specifically where they're already having troubles and Reese already wants to do something.
He's all, let's not forget what he said 2 seconds ago, that he's, like, wants to be with her sexually.
Like, he knows that this bed is too small for him to do it, but that doesn't mean he won't try.
Or that they could do other things.
There are other things that lead up to a proper bedding. There are beginnings of a proper bedding.
So this is totally like a me moment though. I feel like I embodied Favor a lot during this because she's shaking in the bed, not only from the cold, but she's also just so fucking nervous.
And just the whole, like, she's processing his confession. She's processing that she confessed to him. Mm-hmm. She's also, I think, a part of her still processing that fact that Lucien was there. Lucien found her. Then the cold, and then the fact that she's sharing a bed with Reese.
Emotions are running high, but also it was one of those things where, like, what was it? The night before, she was so, like, ready to go for it. And now that it's actually happening, it's like, I don't really know what to do.
It's almost like, when she had decided, fun and distraction. But now that he's confessed as well, she's like, wait, but if we're both feeling this way, then maybe fun and distraction is not the way to go.
Right. But I love how he says, no expectations, just body. It's like, I don't think y'all can well, because he makes a comment, right, about how she's like shivering up. She's like, my hair is wet. No expectation. But what does he do? He slides his hand flattening against her stomach, and then like she legs intertwine fully. Okay, let me just say, you don't need all that for body. Like, you didn't need all that.
I will say the intertwining legs actually is a better way to have body heat, because if they're just pressed behind, like, they'll get cold much easier.
I'm just saying the hand plays that too.
Hand, yes, definitely. The hand was not necessary.
So here we go, bitch. So you remember when, that little casual thing that we learned from, I think last episode, that if you touched an Illyrian right in his wings,
he could almost come.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what she's doing.
She just reaches out and goes,
But she's just like, she's sewing on the wings, but he's just like getting so hard behind her. I thought that was gonna happen. I thought she was just gonna keep touching it, and then all of a sudden, like, she was gonna feel like a wet spot on her back, and then just be like, like, I thought that was gonna happen.
No, he has more control than that.
I know, I'm just saying.
God, the amount of he's just like, you're cruel.
The cruel, wicked thing, and she calls him an Illyrian baby. And of course, she feels his dick pressing up against her. It's like, good job, thumbs up. It's like immediate, bro. So she keeps, like, dragging her hand across his wing and, things. He asked her, what do you want? What do you want, Feyre?
That was an opportunity.
I know. It's like, we're finally getting into some foreplay in second base. Like, I'm digging this. I'm really, because it's romantic, but it's also fun and cheeky.
Yeah.
So, she shouldn't have said this out loud. She says, I want distraction, I want fun. And he still tensed behind her.
That poor male.
Imagine saying his whole thing about, I feel like I'm dying when I look at you. And her being like, yeah, I want you for fun. As two romantic women sitting here, we're just like, oh my god, that was the wrong thing to say. Holy shit.
I feel like that's partially also what Amarantha did. She just wanted to have her fun with Rhys.
Because he's probably good at it. Oh, it's not a compliment.
No.
I feel like obviously she's lying and she says that. She's like, I don't think he saw it for like the lie it was. But anyway, we're just gonna keep going. But he goes with it because he probably thinks that, might as well touch her at least. Might as well, like, get what I've been, wanting. Dude, he loves her tit, bro.
Oh,
he's definitely, yeah.
I mean, we knew, like, earlier in the episode said that he was tits, ass, and full body, and anything else, full spirit, whatever. But he also has his moments.
It's weirdly cute, though, that, like, somebody saying, like, I love this body part of yours. I mean, I know it's, like, supposed to be sexual, but I would feel very heartened by that. So, as he's touching her, right, she, like, is like rubbing up against him and wants to touch him as well, but he's like, no, you're gonna ruin my fun. He says, I want to touch you first.
He wants to bring her pleasure first because that's the kind of male he is. He always puts others before himself.
This is such the romantic guy trope. The guy won't get off at all and it'll just be the girl doing it, getting it, because, like, again, in society it's usually the reverse. God, to know these Illyrian males are such a fucking tease. This isn't fair. This is just fair.
To be fair, Feyre's kind of teasing too, but
Yeah, it's just... I love how she, like, hears his thoughts in her mind, too. All these things that she didn't think about before. Yeah, he digs you.
Yeah.
And so, yes, he... How was it said, too? Yeah. He, like, fingers her waistband, and then they dip under the waistband.
Honestly, that is like another erogenous zone. Is, like, that skin, right? There's a ring of skin, like, right over, like, the hip on the front band often sits. And so that's why that is always, like, written about in books.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Of, like, specifically the act of, like, slipping below the waistband and everyone going,
I just love how let's just remember, this is just his hand. They're not having full sex, and, like, she's
a fae, though. He's a fae. He has long fingers.
Yeah. Ugh.
He's not just a fae. He's high fae, and he's a high fae male. He has long fingers.
Yeah, and they're probably, like, big, too, but they have some girth to it. Just, goddamn. The fact that they're just, like, is fingering second base? Or would that be considered third base?
I'd still consider it second base, because it's still part of the foreplay.
I think so, too. Yeah, I said it was second as well. I just wondered. So, obviously, she's definitely wet for him, bro.
She was wet for him at the Court of Nightmares.
She's been wet for him since... It's been like that since.
Yep.
And yes, obviously, just the way this is written also, even though, we're not going through every single detail because we do that all night, the fact of, the kissing, and then, because this is the first time they kiss since Under the Mountain?
Yeah.
Also, it kind of was sad that their first kiss. No, okay, not sad. I wanted their first kiss to be somewhere different. It's not like a letdown, but it's one of those things where I was like, I wasn't expecting it here.
Right.
But it's fine.
It kind of fits in with that realistic part of it, though. That
making a speckle of it.
First kisses aren't always going to be the perfect. Like, the ones that you remember are going to be the passionate ones, or the ones in specific moments.
Yeah.
And besides, their first kiss happened under the mountain. As much as Reese didn't want it to happen, it did.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's definitely, like, fucking going for it.
Mm-hmm. He's like, if she wants distraction, I can distract her.
He wanted to take her since, obviously the Court of Nightmares, and it's just, can I just say, this is what ruined PG romance for me? Sarah J Maas, but also just in general, these ACOTAR books, like, sometimes when I read a PG romance, I'm just like, where's, like, the little bit of sex? You know what I mean? Maybe it's because of that's where we are in life. I'm not saying, like, I'm a sex craze, which I'd be fine if I was.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying the idea of it being romantic, but also leading more towards, like, a more adult.
Mm-hmm. While you can have love without sex certainly makes it better.
Yeah, like, and it depends on your relationship. Like, I feel like sex is such an integral part of a romance.
That's true.
For most people.
And it's not the same for everyone as well. Like, there's different layers and levels to it.
Yeah, especially for, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Especially for us, like, it's not like, we're craving for sex, but it's one of those things where it's like, once it happens with person, it happens. Mm-hmm. And it'll, anyway. And of course, she definitely, what does he say? You have no idea how much I favor. And then, of course, yep, she comes. It's great. And he covers her mouth.
Because they're in an inn.
Dude, people definitely heard them. It's Faye hearing, bro. They weren't gonna
with
not.
Those long fingers get into work.
And he couldn't shield them, right? He couldn't shield the sound.
Right.
So
those walls are probably paper thin. Those floors are probably paper thin.
Bro, it's but also, remember, that hotel is, like, charged by the hour, so probably it got drowned out by all the other goddamn noise that's in there.
True.
So.
They're fitting right in.
Dude, it's kind of hot, though. He's like, I wanted you right there in the middle of everyone, but I mostly wanted to do this.
Because if you think about it, he did touch her there. Probably in his mind, he was just like, well, I want to continue doing this.
Yeah, which kind of sucks then, because then when they went home, they had that fight instead of let's continue.
Yeah. So he's like, they go home and, like, he's totally, they're standing at the lake and he's just like, his mind is reeling. Part of it because of, like, the feelings of, like, he wanted to continue with it, among the other feelings that we talked about. And then the fight happens and he's like, but we were having fun.
Oh, damn. And it took so long to get away from that and da-da-da, and now we're here, but he like, licks his fingers, bro. Stop. And then, dude, she's, like, eating that up. She's like, okay, no, now it's his turn. And then, what does he say?
He's like, nah.
Oh, yeah, he says, when you lick me, I want to be alone, far from everyone. I'm gonna let myself roar loud enough to bring down a mountain.
With his power, he would, though.
Stop. And then he proceeds, and when I lick you, I want you splayed out like my own personal feast, bro.
Well,
yes.
We love a man who is specific in his desires.
We love a man who knows, and a man who's very much thought about this.
Oh yeah, he's thought about it.
He said, and he even confesses it, he's like, I've had a long, long time to think about how and where I want. First of all, pause, sus? What do you mean a long, long time?
Yeah.
We've known each other, but, like, what do you mean by, have you liked me longer than, whoa, red flag. Not red flag as in, like, bad, but
just a flag.
Yes.
There's a flag wave in there, but also it's kind of like Reese doesn't, because there's an aspect of, like, wait, is he exaggerating? Is he being dramatic? It's like, while Reese can often be dramatic, mostly in his entrances, he's not fake about that kind of thing. So he's probably like telling the truth when he says that he's had a long time to think about it. And maybe that's that maybe he thought about it like every second of every day for a while. That may also be considered as a long time, just as thinking about it for months would have been considered a long time.
Well, if I'm thinking about every rom-com I know, I'm thinking that, like, as soon as Callan might happen, he's been thinking about her since.
Probably.
So I think that's what I mean by a long, long time.
And then since she's been with him in the night court, it's probably grown with how much he thought about it.
And because they spend, like, every waking moment with each other, obviously. True. It's a little... I love how... Okay, dude, he was talking to me for this one, though. He said, I have no intention in doing it all in one night, or in a room where I can't even fuck you against the wall. Yes!
Hey.
My kryptonite, man. Some good old wall sex.
And the not doing it all in one night, though.
That means you want to do it more than one night. Okay.
Or make it last more than 24 hours.
Girl, I didn't even think... Yeah. think about it like that, but sure, he could probably. But I love how ready to, do something else. And he's like, okay, let's sleep. And then they...
She doesn't even fight. She just sleeps.
Well, and then I also... Well, okay, first of all, she says... I just want to say it's very sweet that she says she didn't have a single nightmare, which is, I think, first time that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, when she's, like, starts falling asleep, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, when's the last time she actually came? Because if it's been that long, I bet she's probably tired and she just sounds.
Also, though, the fact that she falls asleep and Reese just has his hand on her waistband, like just inside her waistband.
It's romantic.
It's so
It's a comforting place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's comfort for him because, yes, he had his wings out during this whole sexual encounter.
Which, while they didn't properly bed, while they didn't have sex, I think that was another layer for him, another step to have his wings out while they were having some kind of intimacy.
I do want to say, though, okay, this is just me as a side note, because remember, he has to have his wings out because he can't magic them away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a thing where he can't.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to do it when there's a choice.
Yeah, that's...
I want him to be able to... I know this is like a precursor, I think, but like I'm saying, I want there to be a time when, whether it's coming up soon or not, I want there to be, maybe where he starts out just like he usually is, and then as they're about to have sex, he has his wings out. He makes his wings. I want the choice.
Yeah.
Because now, I'm not saying that there wasn't a choice, but like the fact that he can't put them away because they'd endanger each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, digression. So, of course, we get a great morning after scene. Waking up safe and calm in each other's arms.
His wings.
Yeah, go ahead.
His wings just like wrapped over and blocking the sunlight. And like, I can totally imagine like the actual picture of seeing the sun come through the membrane, the wing. Like, that would be so cool.
And maybe this is just me projecting, but I think this is the epitome of romance for me. I love the idea of waking up in someone's arms every morning and just being content watching them and having that moment that Feyre does of feel like I can wake up like this every day, forever.
And feeling safe and like comforted and warm. Even though, if we think about it, they're still in the inn. This rickety old inn.
Yeah, this really trashy, bed bug probably infused inn.
And yet she's laying there being like, you know what? It doesn't matter if I'm in a too small bed, in a too small room, in a stupid inn. I have Reese with, and that's all I need.
So sweet! But of course, when can in these books we ever have a fucking peaceful moment without there being some sort of...
Never.
So, as she wakes up, she asks him a very good question. She's like, why did you make the bargain with me? She's like, why demand the week from me every month? Dude, his answer is cold as hell. It was just to piss off Amarantha to make a statement to Amarantha and to piss off Ham. Okay, that wasn't the answer I was expecting.
No, I think what you were about to say would have helped my thoughts.
So he says also, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my people and for my family. What's rough about this is that she immediately starts catastrophizing, right? She's like, oh, this was just a game.
Part of me, so what I was going to say was like, when I first read it, I'm like, okay, so Reese kind of feels like he's getting back at her for just having him be a distraction. So he's like, he confessed, and then she just wanted a distraction. And so, I mean, that's probably another reason why he didn't let her touch him, because he's like, no, I want her to want him, her to want him in not just a distraction mode.
Yeah.
Like that. And then also this morning, he's like, well, clearly she's not doing feelings right now, so I'm just going to push past these.
Oh, that's not what I thought. That's interesting. I don't disagree with you, but that's not what I thought at all. I thought he was just, last night was too much. And he can't understand it. And so, like, and obviously because we know by the end of these chapters what he's hiding.
Yeah.
I think it's because she doesn't know everything that he doesn't really know. It's almost like he's still hiding the true intention. Because he can't give her the answer that she would want because...
it would reveal it.
There's missing context. Yeah.
And he doesn't want her to think, I mean, obviously we're going to get there, but he doesn't want her to think that all of that was just because of that one reason.
Right, correct.
He wants to fall in love with a girl, and he wants the girl to fall in love with him. That's what he
just by that, no extreme search. Of course, they fly most of the day, and they don't talk. She describes it as like he wants to tell her something, but he can't find the words.
Yeah.
Which is making me think, I'm like, my first time reading it, before I even know what happened at the end. It's like, what secret do I not know?
Because Reed
What is he
pretty much
trying
tells her everything. So
What is?
what could it be? It's like kind of those moments where, okay, this thing happened. It has made something very clear to me. So now I have made a decision that I need to say something that I had kept hidden before. Like,
Right.
it's definitely one of those moments. But of course, it's hard to say those things.
And also, when they're like flying, they're not just sitting talking to each other. They need to get to a place where they can talk.
Mm-hmm.
As he says, there's one more story I need to tell, which he's about to tell it. And then guess what happens?
As much, okay, starting here until back in Windhaven, this whole scene, I think, is like one of my top scenes of this book.
Oh, this whole like excursion? Yeah.
I think this, I mean, I have a lot of favorite scenes, of course, but this is one of my top ones.
It shocked me for sure. And it shouldn't have, because like that was so foreshadowed. This whole idea of being shot down was foreshadowed when they went to the Court of Nightmares.
Yeah.
It was, but he wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
So
it's
now...
like, yeah, especially he's not paying attention even more now. Yeah, so like just this whole scene, so as we get into it, I'm probably gonna get passionate about it. I mean, I already feel like I've been even more passionate this episode.
I know, we get passionate every episode, but that's just because it gets better and better. I do want to say, though, before he gets shot down, she does say something important that we can't forget.
Yeah.
She said, I don't walk away from you.
He's like, I need to tell you a story, and she's like, basically, you know, you can tell me anything, I won't walk away from you.
Funny. Hilarious.
But we'll get...
Yeah. Okay, so yes, he gets shot out of the sky by a dozen goddamn arrows.
Arrows.
Not only arrows, ash arrows with poison in them. Holy fuck. I was shocked. When this happened, I went, what?
Yeah.
And again, like I said, I shouldn't have been, but I was.
First fucking instinct
is to push her out of the way.
Is to literally just throw her away from the arrows. So even if she's like fallen to her death because they're in the sky, like he would prefer that over be shot, potentially captured by these arrows.
Pushes her magic so that like she slams like on the other side the wood, and she has to like go and find him, right? So she slams in the tree, right? So we actually find her magic is evolving, right? So she has more adept at her wind air magic from the day court. So obviously this is holy shit.
Yeah, so considering that like she's like freaking out, she doesn't actually know what just happened. She just knows she's like cracking through all of these branches and falling towards the ground. And so she's like, shit, I'm just gonna... That's like I was saying earlier, in her defensiveness, just her internal instincts of defensiveness, that's where the shield comes from. And then she strengthens it on her own.
I appreciate though how when she immediately goes for the bond first.
Yes.
She tries to talk to him through it, but it's scary because the black adamant wall that's usually there is just gone.
Yeah, usually she can feel it even if she can't break in, but it's just emptiness.
It's like, that's crazy. That's sus.
Yeah.
That makes it that, you know, he's unconscious or dead or something.
But I think even if you were unconscious, the shield would still be there.
Yeah.
So the fact that completely gone...
She doesn't know how it works, so she's like thinking he's unconscious or dead or something.
My thought was kind of along the lines of like, well, because their bargain bond is magic based. And so my thought was like, well, hang on, like with the ash arrows, that like mad kind of thing, right? That's what my first read through thought was, that his magic was gone, so therefore the bond was gone temporarily, I guess.
Yeah. So what then ends up happening is, you know, again, she's in the woods by herself. It's getting close to night, like it's getting dark.
Which, so honestly, this is foreshadowing from the first book when Tamlin told her never to go out at night because there were things that roamed in the spring court that were bad. And then the night court is like 10 times worse, if not more dangerous than the spring court. And so then at night.
Especially for being up in the Illyrian steppe.
Yeah.
They're just like also 20 times more like...
Yeah, but again, like you said, her first thought was to reach out for the bond, not even caring that she was now stranded alone in the Illyrian steppe while it's getting dark.
Yeah, it's like find him. Finding him is the best. So obviously there's a bunch of different creatures on the ground that she can't see right away.
She can hear them, though.
She is angry.
She's not scared. She is angry.
And it says, and I love how she describes it as something ancient, because I think that's foreshadowing. It's like an ancient primal thing, she calls it. It's like, So she gets the good idea about, you know, instead of going on the ground, because that'd be a death sentence, she winnows from branch to branch instead, because her anger is fueling her at the point.
She doesn't just jump from branch to branch, which probably would have made her fall. Just the winnowing so much.
And then, of course, she gets to a point, though, where she's like, she shapeshifts her eyes.
Man, I find, that's so cool. So there's, like, sorry, just real quick, going back before I get too excited. I shouldn't be this excited Reese is getting hurt, but the fact that the first time she winnowed was when she was with Reese, when she was angry related to Reese.
At him, yeah.
She was angry at him, sure, but, like, just because it was related to him that she figured out she could winnow. And that's how she winnowed there. And she also, in that moment, she had also shifted her fingers into talons. So, again, that primal thing. And so I feel like this is kind of like a foil of that moment of, like, she's angry and it has something to do with Reese, even though it's not Reese's fault this time. And then she also feels that primal shift as she, like, shifts her body to narrow in on what she needs to do in that moment to hone her anger.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the whole idea of being able to shift your eyes to be able to see in the dark, that's actually pretty epic.
It's the idea of her learning this shit on the fly because she's so, like, again, like you said, the base, like, every magic is based on emotion and need in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And because she thinks that this is, you know, obviously it's life or death, right?
If she doesn't learn it, she can't get to Reese.
Or more so, like, if she doesn't will it into being, she's fucked.
Mm-hmm.
And so she hunts for him, and obviously she feels bad because she knows that he was getting distracted by her. I do want to appreciate, though, how this whole sequence of events, we're seeing Feyre hunt really for the first, like, hunting for somebody. And even in the first book, we didn't really see her hunt. This is her hunting.
She was there sitting in a clearing and stalking her. Not even stalking it. She was just sitting there waiting. She was doing, like, the waiting kind of hunt. No, this time she's, like, actively hunting and track, which we got a little bit of a clip of in the first book when she came to the manor and it was all broken. You know, she traced footsteps and glass shatters, all the damage. So it's like we got a little taste of it there. But in here, you're definitely right. Like, this is the first time we're seeing her, like, full on hunt where she's taking in all of the sounds she hears. She's, like, using all of her senses and then also using her mind to decipher different tricks and trails.
Her wildlife hunting, yeah. So what she picks up from this is that there was an ambush waiting for him. So as soon as he got on the ground, there was people waiting. And obviously she makes the declaration, if Reese is dead, everyone is toast.
Yeah.
Honestly, everybody ends up dead anyway, so
True.
I mean, good though that she's saying,
yeah,
dude, badass. Isn't this different though? Let's just remember, this is very different than the Feyre we've known as somebody who was so upset about taking those fairies' lives. Again, they were innocents, and this isn't an innocent situation.
It's a shift because it goes to show that, like, under the mountain, she killed those fairies for Tamlin and his court, and yeah, they plagued her, and yeah, she's going to remember those 3 fairies for the rest of her life. However, in this moment, she doesn't care about killing them because she cares about Reese, and that is a comparison of how much more she cares about Reese and how that feeling towards Reese is more pure, more true than how she felt about Tamlin.
So she finally gets to this split in the road where they said that they took his clothes off or some piece of clothing so that, like, both of them had his scent.
They took his clothes, like his bloodied clothes.
What's interesting is that they didn't think about the right before because they didn't get a chance to bathe or whatever, and so she smells herself on him.
They didn't know that they were fucking like that.
No, well, they probably would have smelled it, but I don't think they thought she was smart enough to realize that.
No.
So obviously he is the one that has the smell of her on him, and so finally makes her way up because it was. I actually don't want to, like, race past this, but it was. She said, "What were the 2 options?" Oh, one of them were the mountains were Illyrian territory where they'd run the risk of a patrol, and then the other was, like, an unguarded, unpatrolled forest. So
it's like, if you think about it, if you're stepping back, it's like, okay, in the moment, like, you would think, you know, you had 2 options of scent going both ways. Like, they wouldn't be so stupid as to go and risk getting caught by Illyrians. So therefore, they must go to this unpatrolled, safer option over here. And it's like, okay, but, like, how dumb do you think she actually is, though?
Also, how did they get there in the first place without them noticing?
Right.
They must have they must know the route, or maybe they know where they are.
Mm-hmm. Or I guess with your theory, the Illyrian. So maybe that's another reason. If we go with your headcanon, if an Illyrian was like a traitor, then potentially that's another reason they went up into Illyrian territory, because they struck some kind of deal there of like, oh yeah, I promise we won't troll this area.
Because even you brought up the important point that they fought for Amarantha. I would doubt that, you know, even some of them wanted Hybern to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I 100% bet it.
Yeah.
So obviously she goes up to the Illyrian side, so they go up to this cave up in this mountainside.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing she hears is a whip. Hell no.
God, this makes me, like, actually so mad, though.
Especially with all the buildup, knowing how tortured he's been, and the fact that it's happening to him again.
Yeah.
So she finally feels his wall again, but he's hung up on the wall with strange blue cuffs around his wrists, and there are 7 arrows going through his wings.
Sorry, just going back a moment. She doesn't see him yet. She just sees the people on patrol outside the cave and quickly dispatches them.
When she goes into the cave.
Yeah, sorry. Every detail of this scene is so perfectly aligned for me. I'll just touch on it real quick then. Just I don't know. I guess I'm also in love with the fact that she's winnowing so well. And it's like all of her skills that she had worked on with Cassian, all of her skills she had worked on with her magic with Reese, like all of it is clicking together in this moment of dire need. And so it's like, specifically in the book, it's just like winnow, stab, winnow, slash, winnow, like kill, winnow, kill, winnow, kill, like over and over until she finally gets into the cave. It's like, and they don't even have time to notice that she's there. And I'm like, that is epic.
Yeah, so she's definitely being all badass about it. Yeah, everybody dies.
Good.
Everybody's dead. I think that's also the case because, I don't know, the fact that he's hung up, he got whipped.
Mm-hmm.
Hell no.
They already shot him down. They dragged his body on the ground, and now they're whipping him.
Mm-hmm. So obviously she goes up, touch him, and yeah, like something about these shackles are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously she notices that they're holding away his magic. We don't really know what they're called.
Mm-hmm.
They're just really bad juju.
Bad.
So obviously he's still bleeding, so that's, in a weird way, that's good.
Means he's still alive.
But he's coming more to consciousness. Reese, we need to winnow home. She says home this time.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't winnow her because of the the poison, like you said. So the fact that not only did she do all that winnowing to kill all those people, she winnows both of them around, which is added on magic.
Yeah, it takes more magic. This is her first time winnowing someone else.
Remember when he said, like, to hold on to him tight because if he didn't, she'd get lost? Because if they winnowed and if she let go of his hand, he would have been lost.
Yeah.
So she was taking that big ass gamble to hold on to him really tight and to winnow together.
She's like, holding on to him was so hard.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, because of her being able to winnow, she winnows them into this like small cave outside. I think it's like far enough away, but like she can't winnow anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So she has to get these fucking arrows out of his wings carefully.
Yeah.
And so she has to like take the knife and cleave them in two and then pull them out so that she doesn't leave ashwood splinters in there.
I can totally imagine like that pain of like, because even as she's sawing, that's gonna shake and reverb in the wounds in his wings.
Unfortunately, it was one of those things. I'm not saying that I didn't have sympathy for his pain. I think it was one of those things where I feel like he's had worse.
Illyrian baby.
Enough to where I was like, oh, okay, it's okay.
I think, but because we're in Feyre's point of view, she's, oh my god, Ash, like, would, like, you know, she hasn't had too much experience with it, yet, since becoming Fey. So for her, it's like, oh my god, Ashwood, there's so many of them, they're in his wings, and he's bleeding, and he's still bleeding, and none of it's clotting. Oh my god, is he gonna die?
Well, she brought up that good point, though, during this section where she talked about Andres, and she said one well-placed Ash arrow killed him, or at least incapacitated him enough to where the other one did it.
Yeah.
So, like, the fact that all of them were through, and then also the fact that, you know, we've built up over this whole entire book about how important his wings are to him.
Mm-hmm.
And not only to him, but to the Illyrians. So, on top of that, it makes it so much more compelling.
Mm-hmm.
So, as she's doing this to ease his pain, she's, like, monologuing and telling him about her past to him.
Yeah.
I just love, this is what got me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
She talks about when Elaine bought her those paints when she was 17, and that she decorated she painted a bunch of things in the house, cabinets, the doorway, all that, and then she talked about the dresser drawer that we talked about. Remember that thing? Remember that back from the first book? So, a reminder for people who don't remember, she painted flowers for Elaine, Nesta had flames. Ironically, ding ding ding, Feyre had the night sky.
Mm-hmm.
Painted hers. So, before we get into that, she monologues, she brings up a good point, how, like, she's kind of reminiscing, she's like, Nesta and Amryn would get along really well. Like, oh yeah, they would. That would be cast, but it'd be great.
Yeah.
While Elaine would cling to Azriel. I will say, I loved this the first time I read it, because I was like, oh my god, I'm thinking that that Cassian is digging Nesta. If Elaine is digging Azriel, that'd be kind of like the perfect 3, wouldn't it?
3 brothers for 3 sisters?
I loved this idea originally. I'm like, oh, this should happen. That'd be cute.
It would be cute.
So, I kind of want to gauge the audience, like, what do you think about Illyriel? I think that's her ship name.
Elreal, yeah.
Elaine and Azriel, because I definitely thought I loved it at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I love how Feyre brings up in this big monologue that Az would never stop loving more, though, and I'm like, something's off there, and I can't really tell what it is.
Yeah.
And it kind of drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Moore would have been with him already if that was the case.
Because Moore's not blind.
But, yeah, anyway. But yes, now that we think about it, now that we have the context, and now that we're like 2 books away, they were painting the night sky. That seems a little bit sus. She brings up a good point. She never hunted at night. She was never out at night. Why the hell would she paint the night sky for? Didn't make any sense. I love this, quote, though, where she, I said it as the main quote for this episode. I wonder if even in my despair and hopelessness, I was never truly alone. I wonder if I was looking for this place, looking for all you. She's not like her sisters, and I think she's content with that now.
Mm-hmm.
I think she always was comparing them to her. And so, of course, Rhys, she gets all the arrows out of his wings, and he says, you saved me. Like he was surprised. What do you mean?
Because clearly she only wanted him for distraction, so why would she come save him?
I think it was more that I think he was surprised that she did it all herself.
Yeah, that he was able to find her. Or, sorry, she was able to find him.
I was thinking it more on the fact that he might have thought that she wanted to go for help instead. But no, her first thought was, no, fuck it, I'm doing this myself.
Well, there was no thought. She just went into action.
So he tells her that, okay, so yes, we are right. It was hype. Yeah, of course it was.
Of course it was. Because who else is stupid enough to enter the Night Court?
The chains are from the king himself, which is rough.
Ugh.
And that's why, you're right. That's why she wasn't able to use the magical bond, because it nullified the magic.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I was looking for you too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Just tell each other, just kiss and just tell each other you love each other already, okay? Put us all out of our goddamn misery.
God, it's so cute. It's so sweet. And
So, next day they wake up, Rhys is unconscious, and he's not healing.
Man, that night must have been terrifying.
100%, this fucking reminded me of the Hunger Games, bro.
Yep.
I know I brought it one time, this reminded me of Peeta and Katniss in the cave, and I was happy about it. It turns on its head, 100%. He's just getting worse and worse. She is kind of in a bind, right?
Mm-hmm.
She can't all the way to camp, because if she does that, he's left defenseless, and he could die.
Mm-hmm.
Or waiting for someone else to find them, she's also waiting, and he could die.
Mm-hmm.
She needs to find something fast. By far, I think if a theme I had for these chapters, I was shocked by every little thing that happened when I read this the first time. Shocked in a good way.
It was one thing right after the other.
I didn't think that would happen. Wait, I didn't think that would happen. Wait,
No.
what?
I was not expecting this, and I'm so happy.
I wasn't expecting this. About the biggest surprise of them all.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, I'm not gonna risk him. So she kissed his brow and left. What I was to hunt would be worse. When I heard the running water and that she was setting up a snare, I went, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
And very coincidentally, she's got a cloak. And remember from last time...
Remember Alice with her advice again?
Cloak was better than... She wasn't going to have some raw-ass chicken in the fucking woods.
No.
So yes, who comes back but our favorite buddy, Liesl's favorite buddy, the Surreal.
My gossip girl, she back.
I mean, I love the Surreal too, but like, Surreal as well. But Liesl's definitely...
It's a queen.
It's such a happy... Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my god, she's going to the Surreal for help? Honestly, I was wondering if this would be the same one. Because remember, from the previous book, we know that the Surreals are a race.
Yeah, they're rare, though. But definitely, I think I was kind of thinking the same one. But maybe that's just because I was projecting because I love the Surreal so much. But at the same time, while I was like reading this part, specifically this part before we actually met the Surreal the second time, is I'm like, wait a minute, but Rhys has tried twice and failed twice, and now now Feyre is like catching again the second time.
She tried twice and got him twice.
Yeah.
I will say, I think this plotted me as Sarah as a writer, like even more so, right? Because I thought the serial was going to be that one-off, okay, I'm going to give you a prophecy character and then never be seen from again. Not that I say that's necessarily bad writing, but this just made the character so much more interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, she goes to it and asks for help. But the difference this time is that she's not as coy. She's very much, fucking tell me what I need to know.
Yeah, because she is on a mission. She has a deadline, one that she doesn't know the exact time of, and she doesn't want to get to that time.
Feyre says this though, but I want to say, how did this fucker get caught twice? I think he wanted to be caught this time.
I agree. I definitely agree that, I feel like he has some kind, well, obviously he has to have some kind of power to, see the world around him, for him to know all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that sense, I definitely agree. It's like, he probably, this is more of a headcanon, not controversy, a theory on my part, of like, I think the serial was so intrigued by Feyre in the first book that it's kind of like subtly been following her around, keeping an eye on her, because Feyre is something new to this world, and the serial seemed to think that she was something that might change the world. And so I think the serial's been following her around, which is why it was nearby, and why it was just like, oh, that's another trap. I guess she needs my help. I guess I could wander over and see what's happening, and I might get a free cloak out of it.
Be anywhere in any of the 7 courts. Why are you here right? And the same one too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I love how his introduction, he's like, Feyre, Cursebreaker. What a year has changed since we last met.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I have need of you. It's like, you have 2 questions. It's like, okay, whatever. So we find out the poison that was used on the arrows, it was a thing called bloodbane.
Sounds like a poison.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good. But what is the cure? It's in the forest. It's like, okay, thank you, sir.
Please don't be cryptic.
It's like, what? But when he says the forest and then he says it's her, I'm like, wait. So he says that, so we finally learned the last bit of her magic, right? Mm-hmm. We've gotten every court except Dawn.
Yeah.
Apparently Dawn has healing powers.
Yeah.
So all she has to do is give 2 or 3 mouthfuls to Rhys of her blood and he'll be healed.
Mm-hmm.
Badass power, by the way. I'll just say that.
100%. Karin from Naruto. Basically, the character who, if like you bit her arm and sucked her blood, you would heal from her chakra.
I feel like I knew about that, but I didn't really get into Naruto, so I wouldn't know that.
That's okay. I only recognize it like on some like later rereads. I'm like, actually.
He's also more casual this time. The serial, like, okay, I've helped you now, free me. Yeah, I bet you wouldn't bought. Whatever.
100%. He's like, yeah, I get a free cloak out of it. I get to catch up with my girl.
So he also tells her that can I just say how happy I am we're able to get to this point so that we don't have to hide it anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, it's hard. Now you understand my pain of me not being able to tell you this whole time, and then you finally getting to it and being like, yeah. Okay, let me say what he says. So she glosses over it at first, right? Doesn't even think about it. She's like, wait, pink flowers? Wait, what? So she says, if you wish to speed your mate's healing in addition to your blood, a pink flower weed sprouts by the river. Make him chew it. Pink flowers. She untraps it. What did you say?
Realize, okay, before we get into this, because this is a very big moment, I also just wanted to note, because I love the cereal, the fact that she frees the cereal, and in comparison to the last freeing, of course that was interrupted by the Naga. She just undoes it, and like, she's not even scared. She doesn't try and run whatsoever. She's just standing there having a conversation with this freed cereal, and it's like, oh yeah, the cereal totally likes her.
Oh yeah, like he wasn't
and then it's a moment of the High Lord of Spring. The what? Your mate. My what?
Yeah, he always has a bombshell for her every fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me think, my first immediate thought of this, I was like, he's gonna show up in the 3rd book. I guarantee it. Just because this happened, I'm thinking to myself, I was like, nope, he's gonna show up, and then there's gonna be some other piece of knowledge that we don't know about.
Mm-hmm. That will be vital, I feel like, because all 3 of these things, like, even if in the first book, it was vital to learn he was High Lord. Like, she would have learned eventually, but in that moment, it was vital. Now, fucking mates? That's huge!
This genuinely surprised me when I first read, because, like, even though they talked about it, I'd never read a book before that had mates like this in it, so I didn't really know what to look for.
Right.
Now that I know what it is, I can see it from a mile away now.
Yeah.
I appreciate my genuine surprise on this. I knew there would be endgame. Mates is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Stronger than marriage, stronger than dating. It's like you're equal in every way.
And the fact that she has such a calm moment right now, though, even though she's just had this bombshell dropped on her.
Calm, but also, like, stunned.
Calm, stunned, and a little bit of anger.
Oh, very much of anger. Because he says, the High Lord of the Night Court is your mate. He's like, interesting. You didn't know? Fuck you. Not Tamlin's mate, Rhys-Anne's. You're mine.
She's mine, you're mine.
Good God. Did he know? For a while, yes. Ooh. Now that's what makes her mad.
Yeah, that's the extra info of we said in the first serial meeting of like, I should not have said that.
Rhys knew about their bond for a long time, and the serial was about to tell him how long Rhys knew.
And she's
of
like,
course,
tell me.
And she just walked, how is it possible? Like, she can't fathom this. Mates were equals, matched at least in some ways. He's the most powerful High Lord to ever walk this earth. You are new, made of all 7 High Lords. Unlike anything. Are you not similar? Not matched? Well, when you think about it like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then just the serial disappears like a fucking bro.
Takes the cloak, walks off, like, okay, cool, good talk.
My job is done.
I've caused a little bit of chaos.
Good lord. So this scene in this subsequent chapter is hella cringe. Not in the way, not the cringe of like it's a bad chapter.
No.
It's cringe because I'm like, oh no.
This
like,
is about to get bad.
So she basically harumps back to the cave, and he's, back in consciousness again, and she just chucks the flower at him and says, eat it.
Yeah, like, I was just gonna say, she throws the full flower on, but, like, the roots are still in the dirt, so it's, like, dirt all over him.
Mm-hmm.
It's so mad.
So, the most important thing in my immortal existence, promise not to lie, not things. I feel like it's more nuanced than that, and I knew that, and I was like, God, I mean, I get her reaction here, but I will say, I was mad at her this whole entire time. He is literally on his death.
And
like,
he has tried to tell her things before, and also, she just needs to think about it as well, like the reason why, but she's not thinking about it.
She never took those seriously, though.
No.
And he knew that, so that even if he tried to say that, she'd think it's like, ha, like, yeah, we're mates.
Again, even if she doesn't notice it in this moment, she is mad at herself again for not noticing it.
Because it is part of her, too.
Mm-hmm.
She should inherently know, but also because she's human, she doesn't know what for.
The feelings, the sense, the protectiveness, just how she feels around him in general.
The ancient anger, the primal, somebody hurt and what's mine kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. She should have seen them, and she's mad that she didn't, whether she knows she's mad about that or not.
She's like, you don't get to ask any fucking questions, just sit down and shut up.
Truth is, I'm asking questions now.
He's like, I stared down at the half Illyrian warrior who was my soul bonded heart. How long have you known that I'm your mate? He stills.
His reaction after he stills, like, just the fact he's like, puts 2 and 2 together, even though the poison is still in his body.
She's like, you don't get to ask me if I did that. Yes, I did. He said, I suspected for a while. He says that he knew when Amarantha was killing her all the way back then. And when he stood, and then we finally get the missing piece of the puzzle.
Finally.
When they were up on the balcony after Under the Mountain, and he pulled her up there, that the mating bond snapped into place, and that's why he staggered.
Why, when we were talking about it, it's like the High Lord actually stumbled. We were confused, and now we finally have an answer, and it is amazing, yet also kind of frustrating.
Because something happened when she got shifted that, like, it fully snapped into place.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes so much more sense.
And
but
the
also,
fact, though, that he felt that mating bond when she was still human. We've never heard of that happening before.
Nuh-uh. Or the fact that he even suspected before Amarantha was killing her, is what he said. It makes so much more sense. But yeah, I get her upsetness of that being over a half a year ago. So he explains that he wanted to tell her yesterday before he said he wanted to tell her when he took her to bed, because as we know from like the mating legend is that it's really normal time when they have sex for the first time that snaps into place. It's very unique for them not to have that happen.
Yeah.
So obviously she's upset because seemingly everybody else knows but her. Moore and Amber knew, but only the boys suspect, but they very much probably already. I get his perspective here. Why dude, she was literally gonna marry another man.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would he just come out of the woodwork when she didn't even know him all that well and say, hey, guess what?
When she already hated him from Under the Mountain. Even if it was slightly less so from the balcony or whatever, she did not like him. She was taught to hate, and he let her hate him.
Knowing. Though I love when he says, because her words did get to him. He was just like, when you told me the other night, you wanted distraction and fun, not a mating bond. That's not what what you asked for. And not to someone like me, a mess. Yeah, those words did get to you. But again, I also get her perspective in not letting her choose to what to do with that information.
Yeah.
And of course, like, you know, obviously he tells her, yeah, I mean, that's basically why I got shot down. Yeah, because he was gonna tell her right then and there.
Dang.
But then he also says, or should I just not tell you or wait or maybe take whatever pieces that you offered me and be happy with it?
No, my heart. My heart.
Or maybe I should let you go so you don't have a lifetime of assassins and High Lords hunting you down for being with.
She already has that, dude.
One thing straight, she already has that already.
That's
Don't
the
even
reason
worry
she
about
gets
that.
shut down, is because she has.
Yeah, if anything, it has nothing to do with him. All about her.
In fact, he should be the one protected from her assassins.
Obviously, I feel like, you know, they're hunting him down because, like, he's her protector, and they know that. It's ultimately to get her, so if anything, the assassins aren't for you, man.
Yeah.
I understand her upsetness, but again, I'm so mad that, like, while he's, like, still, you know, like, healing from all these goddamn wounds, she's, winnow us back, now, demands. In pain, I might add. And so they winnow back, and they land outside the house in, like, the mud. Dude, this is, like, such a rom-com scene. I could just imagine, like, rain pouring down, really muddy, you know, like, this is the climax.
I guess. I didn't picture it with rain, but I have the exact same thing of just imagining, like, them land in the mud, but then immediately, because he's still, like, weak and injured, him falling to his knees and hands and knees, and then her just, like, striding off and him just, like, reaching out for her.
I love how, okay, this imagery, though. She's walking away from him, like, cold shoulder. No, I need to fucking get away from him. Well, Cassian and Moore run out. Cassian sees Reese, goes immediately to him. Then she faces Moore, and Feyre's like, you gotta take me away from him. And what she said, she used as an example for, is now being put test.
She said she won't walk away from him.
Bro, she lied. It's like that rom-com answer where it's like, well, we both made promises we couldn't keep.
But it was like
no.
Also, the fact that it was a more, like, even more literal way of saying, like, I will not walk away, because he, in his weakened state, on, like, in the mud, almost laying down with how, like, he was in pain, you know, being held up by Cass, and she literally walks away. She doesn't, like, just, like, step away or, like, disappear or whatever. She walks away from his weakened state and says, take me away from here.
Yep.
And it's,
So, but again, back to what I was saying about the, like, put to the test, right? She said that Moore and anybody else would take her away if she said Reese. And she does. Moore immediately takes her away, no matter how hard it was. And the famous cabin in the mountains, the famous cabin that we have heard about, right?
Retreat that was destroyed by Moore and
subsequently got rebuilt. This is the famous cabin that we've heard about.
Yeah.
This is a good setup location. I love I just love these places.
Yeah.
In the night. It's just so out. As they're walking up there, like, she's like, Moore's like, yeah, so you have access, of course. And she's like, ugh. Like, she's being such a goddamn teenager. Angst. She's like, ugh, is it because he's my mate? I mean, it's because he's my mate, right?
She's like, oh boy, I'm not gonna go there.
Also, we needed this moment. She needed to, because honestly, she's been with Reese almost nonstop this whole time. She needed a reflection cabin.
Yeah.
To, like,
she needed a space to get away from him so that she could process her thoughts about him without feeling pressure of his presence there.
I love how she's like, Moore's like, is he alright? He'll live. That's such an answer.
Yeah.
Obviously, Reese is gonna try to find her, but she doesn't want him to. So, like, she asked Moore not to tell him.
Yeah.
And of course she doesn't, or she won't.
Yep.
But Moore tells her the truth of what she thinks. She's like, I've never seen him so happy as he is with you.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the mating bond.
He fell in love.
It hasn't up to this point. Also, it's frustrating.
He fell in love with her. That's as simple as it is. And she fell in love with him too. What difference does a mating bond make?
I think it was more, okay, imagine this. Everything that just happened. The Lucian encounter in the night in the inn, subsequently then her saving his ass, and then him being on death row, and then all of a sudden learning this crucial information about their relationship. I understand the overwhelmingness, and this is why she leads up to here, but also it's frustrating.
She has so much to process from the last 24 hours. More than since before the end. Well, since the end.
I do want to say, though, that isn't she proving his point about why he didn't say anything?
Yeah, he is. Or she is.
I don't think she thinks it right now, but she's exactly proving his point about how he didn't say anything. And so that's kind of fucked, but also, so this is where we subsequently leave off, right? We're left in this cabin for 3 days in solitude in a magic house. Holy shit. This section, bro. It was so much, but also everything was just, like you said, like boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was the end of this section for right now. So yeah, we will get into more of that later. So exciting. We're going to move into our graphic audio portion of this, which holy shit, girl.
Welcome to Tally's Corner. Let's get into it.
So I made better notes for this, by the way, so let's get started. Let's go back to chapter 45. So this is back to the Illyrian war camp. A couple of things that I noticed. Wait, important to know. So when we're up the Illyrian war camps, I want to say, obviously, props to everybody. John, Melody, Anthony. Oh my god. I think what I loved about the Illyrian war camp was like the noises.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's monologuing about the sounds. You hear a bunch of men grunting and fighting and da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
It sets it up for me really well.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed when they were in camp was when he monologues and he says, "She's mine." And oh my god, the way Anthony said that, I was like, okay.
Yes.
Like, yes, sir. Yeah. So it was my other note it was at the end of this chapter when they're talking about, oh yes. I mean, first of all, I want to say something that the graphic does really, really well that I don't really talk about too much because we haven't gotten it too much is the magic sounds. The water butterflies, that whole scene was cool.
Yeah.
When you hear them shatter into ice and then the whole flame brigade, that's epic badass. Like you feel the tension, and also the music that's underneath the tension of the song of when he's telling the story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was epic.
Their music choices are amazing and complement so well.
So, and obviously, any time they have like a, somebody talked in an ear or something, okay, close up again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, back up, man, but don't back up. So then we get to chapter 46, which is back to the Illyrian war camp, and I love the moment with Cassia in the house. This is a really, really small one, so bear with me. But like, I think this happened also in the inn. You hear an echo off there, because remember how I was saying that it was bare in there. You hear the echo because of how bare it is, and whoever directed this and thought about the littlest of details to even add that shit in there, chef's kiss. Because I was like, oh yeah, that's what made me think about the bare room. When I read it the first time, and you read it just by yourself, I didn't think fucking twice about like how it was described. And then when I heard the echo, I read the text and I went, oh yeah, it is. That's why. What?
They got that reverb in there. So
yeah, and most of it was like the same, magic stuff again. But especially when Lucian shows back up, hearing Gabriel's voice again, just it was so sharp, cut through, and it was very abrupt. And obviously we haven't heard Lucian's voice in a long time. Having it as a different, obviously in a graphic setting, it made it so much more jarring and cool. I loved it. And their whole interaction was just badass. Like this tense music, but also you could hear the bowstring tighten. Dude, we need to talk to this director. She, like, whoever made these decisions,
she'll be our next interviewee. That's what we've decided now.
Right. The tense music, obviously, like the music choices, obviously, because we care about that stuff. I just love the shift in tone. Like the tonal shift happened. So specifically in chapter 47, when, Reese appears and his voice changes, applaud again to Anthony about how subtly his voice changes from the chapter before, back to where outsiders are here. Right. And his voice changes back to that mask that we know. Props to him for being able to do that.
Yeah.
And to make it similar. Love, and I know I brought up about the magic sounds, but when she transforms from her wings, you hear the wings like expand, and it's a really cool sound effect.
That's epic.
The transformation sound, and then I think even if I'm even getting into the nitty gritty, her I think fangs pop out, and so Melody's voice, like not bang fangs, but
her canines, like
yeah, you hear it in the voice that like there's fangs or like there's something. You know how when the Beast and Beauty and the Beast had those like there was you could hear it. It's like she had those fake vampire teeth, and when you have to talk with those in, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know how she did that effect. She probably put something in her mouth so that it would like tamper it or something.
Probably like one of those fake vampire teeth masks.
So I will say at the end of that chapter when Lucian says, dude, this gave me body chills, bro. When he said, you're a dead man, like in your whole cursed court, the music like that was under that, and then Gabriel's subsequent talking was it because it shifted from this very epic magic transforming music to kind of like a deep evil sound.
Yeah, like it's like he's making threats now.
And it was, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know what music it was, but it was wild. But it was also really good. So then yes, the next chapter, the fucking inn. Let me preface by saying the whole thing was fantastic. It was fire. Everything in the chapter. I think what was so funny about it, and which I'm so glad you get to hear later, when they get to the transition between the inn where she starts monologuing about the inn, the music underneath it is so sexual for like no reason. It's like dum dum dum. It's I can't really, I can't sing it back to you like a melody, but it was just sexual music. Ooh, get ready for this. And it's like, oh Jesus.
Oh Jesus.
So I will say that, I mean, obviously Anthony and Melody being so vulnerable was so cool. And especially Reese going back to his more, vulnerable moments is always something I cherish about Anthony's performance. But also seeing Melody open up as Pharaoh a little bit as well. Seeing that open up was really cool to see too. I give them 100% props. I did not think the sexual scene was going to be as graphic as it was. When I thought about this, I was like, okay, how far are they going to go hard or go home, or are they going to like hamper it down a little?
Well, they went and tried to go home.
They went for it, and if anything, I'm glad they did, because you can't and especially for the graphic is again the movie in your mind, right? They're not going to tamper it PG. Oh hell no, they 100% went for it, and I will say all the moans, all the sounds, like even I thought you would appreciate this. Remember how they were shrouded in his wings? You could hear that their voices were tampered, so it's almost like you could hear them through a door or something.
Ooh.
So it's like you're hearing them cocoon, which I thought was another interesting choice, but also a specific sound that I didn't think that they'd think about putting in there.
Right.
Oh yeah, I definitely blushed the whole time. I was like, dude, this is hot as fuck. Now you will understand why it was so hard talking to Anthony specifically, because I'm just like, God, I've heard this guy like moan so much. And I know it's acting. Again, as an actress myself, I know. But at the same time, it's like...
But he does it so well.
I didn't think I'd ever talk to him. You know what I mean? It's like, I've seen actors have sex scenes, but, I never talk to them.
And with how much you listen to this graphic audio, though?
I know, man. I won't lie, I listened to the end scene twice.
Only twice?
For notes.
Only twice?
Well, I mean, I've listened to this graphic way more than once. But, like, specifically, when I was making notes for this, I only listened to it twice.
Okay, I'm impressed.
Well, thanks. And then, I mean, even, dude, okay, again, this is my straight ass talking, so I know I sometimes don't talk about Melody's sex scenes as much because I'm so enthralled by the man, but anyway, I don't want to diminish what she did. Her, like, orgasm and moans and shit were, like, on point. Like, dude, her sultry voice is, I know, Liesl might die. But I don't want to diminish her performance either, because it definitely, it was wild.
Yeah, I bet.
But it was so on point. It didn't take me out of it at all, like, and it didn't feel like they were making fun of it. It didn't feel, they gave it the honor it deserved.
That's good.
I'm glad that's what they went for. Because when you think of a graphic audio thing, are they going to go campy with this, or are they going to make it real? And they made it real. So then, of course, the next scene, the waking up scene afterward. I think the most important graphic audio moment there was when hearing him breathe. You heard him like breathe and deep breathe.
The peaceful sleeping.
Yes, it was beautiful. I loved it. And I don't think I've brought this up a couple of times. I think I've brought it up a couple of times, but not fully. But I think what I think the graphic also does that's really good is the flying. Hearing the wind while they're talking and knowing, it's like I can visualize being up in the sky.
Yeah.
Even though, because again, I don't know if some of you know this, but they take some out of the graphic. Some of the if he said he growled, he does it instead of saying he growled.
Yeah.
So if it says like hearing the brushed winds or something, they just hear the sound effect. They don't say it out loud.
Right.
I like that. Because again, if it transitions to them flying, I hear it before I even listen to any dialogue.
Right. Very much like the movie.
Which I love to death, which is why like it makes it so cool for me.
Yeah.
And so of course, what's after the the whole action bit, the subsequent him getting shot out of the sky and hearing him yell and her hunting through the woods and hearing the creatures at night.
Ooh.
Holy shit. So creepy. So creepy.
Even
but cool.
Just the way it was described in the actual writing sounded creepy. Okay. So I probably shouldn't listen to that part before bed.
You heard it. What was funny about that was you heard creatures scattering
Oh.
like around, and I was like, ooh.
Skittering.
I thought there was like a mouse in my wall or something. I was like, nope, it's graphic. But I think what was important to note from like they also go hard in the paint with the violent scenes too. Like you hear the sword slice, you hear the blood kind of gush a little bit, which they kind of did in the last one as well, in the last graphic. And of course, getting to hear the Surreal's voice again was also a highlight. I think Gabriel told us who did the Surreal's voice. It was some guy named Scott. And dude, badass. Again, the Surreal's voice is cool.
Said Scott was one of the like assistant directors. I think Gabriel said that. Scott was one of the directors that helped. So it was super cool that one of the directors was part of it as well.
Yeah. When the Surreal came back and then the subsequent, I loved the mate scene, not only because even Melody played it off really well too, because she did it well as Feyre, right? Thinking about it. Because when the Surreal says it, she goes, okay, about plant. And then there's like a really big pause and she goes, what? Really quietly.
Yeah.
And then she gets louder. And just her badass nature of this whole end, even though we're kind of pissed that she's kind of doing this and very childish, it's still her standing on her own, and so I'm kind of proud in a weird way. That's the case. Obviously, I think the end where Rhys is talking about, I think this is where we're kind of seeing Rhys get a little bit mad. When, let me explain, when at the end of this chapter, when she confronts him about like, well, why didn't you tell me? I mean, he's raising up to her stand. He's like, you know, Anthony does a good job of getting a little bit more Sand-like. And I'm torn to know how we...
Yeah.
Do you think I wanted to hear that you just wanted me for release or whatever? And hearing him in pain, like, you know, and yelling, oh god, it was the yelling Feyre.
Yeah, a reminder of yelling Feyre under the mountain.
It made me almost cry because like the pain that you hear in Anthony's voice.
And it's a different kind of pain too. Like, I mean, can imagine just from what I know of the scene. Like, I bet it's a different kind of like more pained kind of pain. Yell, because it's just like calling out after her rather than like yelling it, is my guess.
Right, because he can't go after her because he can't even get up off her ground.
Right.
So yeah, I think them. What was funny about the end of our chapter section is that when they go up cabin, right, you can definitely hear the atmosphere change from the Windhaven camp. Like there's a bunch of wind going around. It's like you can hear yourself in a snowstorm,
right? Because
it's like this random ass location. Another interesting detail is that you could hear her going through the wards. Like it was like you could hear, you know, her body going through.
Cool.
Getting allowed in. It was just, yeah, I mean, the ambiance, the music still stayed great. I love these graphic audio moments so much. That's why I wanted to put them in their own sec, because I want to give them the credit it's due.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the end of our episode for today. I know it's a long one. It's going to be another long one because the next section, a little foreshadowing, will be the cabin. We are just going to be in the cabin for the whole fucking time. And then I think the last chapter we won't be in, but most of it will be in the cabin, and a lot of hijinks ensue, and maybe a little bit of home run action, shall we? But yeah, so my favorite part of the whole book is what's coming up, and so we're going through chapters 52 to the end of 56.
Yeah.
So another chunker, but it's important information, but it's also linked together, so it makes sense. So yeah, we are so excited. This was one of my, I mean, I say this every time. I feel like everyone gets so much better, you know?
Yeah, it progressively gets better, and it adds up.
Yeah, so again, I just wanted to thank everybody once more for listening, watching. We really appreciate all our fans, and, you know, please share, subscribe, share with your friends. You know, if people are getting into ACOTAR, or you want them to get into ACOTAR, like, we're for everybody, right? We're for, you know, people who have been here longer and know the whole book series, but we're also here for new people, so, because we don't have any spoilers, so, yeah, please go follow our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and yeah, do you have anything to say to the people before we leave?
Nope.
Okay, great. So we will see you guys all in the next episode. We hope you have a great evening, morning, night, whenever you're watching this.
Yep.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.